All right, this one is played out into the offside, no run.
I'd be furious if I was Lionel Morant. That's clearly my call. Stroked it down to middle. He sat off immediately. But Morris was worried about getting to the striker's end. That's not his call. And luckily, it's
All's well.
all's well that ends well, yeah. All is well that ends well, yeah.
Well, the St. Catherine team may not think that it is all's well. They probably would be thinking that a run out is on. But these two continue to soldier on. How many have these two put on, Mr. Scorer? 68. So they've added 68. And it's a partnership that is slowly taking the game away from St. Catherine. They are by no means in an impregnable position just yet. But 158 for 2 is a good score for the batting team in any kind of cricket. And while the St. Catherine team has a much vaunted batting lineup, runs on the board are runs on the board.
Especially in a final. Pressure situation. Kingston, they are playing at home technically. Sabina Park is their home venue. So they would understand conditions a little bit better. And at the toss, I think Akeem Fraser said that he would have batted first. St. Catherine always wanted to bowl first, so it worked out perfectly in the end for either party. And it seems as if knowledge of the conditions are coming to the forefront here for Kingston, because it has been a placid surface with little or no help for the bowling unit.
All right, so the action will resume. And are we going to see Carlos Brown continuing? Yeah. And I know I've said it before. We don't want to be repeating ad nauseum, but you have got to bring one of your pace bowlers back. You're having 2 part-time medium pacers. Here's Carlos Brown. And that's played up towards mid-wicket, no run. 38 to Morant. And Morris, who is on strike now, is on 72. These two have put on 68 for the 3rd wicket. And they are continuing to keep their team in the hunt here. Here's Brown. On that, there's a careless waft at a short wide one. You get the feeling that it's not going to be a great ball that gets out either of these two. Something careless could be coming.
Especially with the line of operation here from St. Catherine. It's a patient line. It's testing your patience. It's testing how long you can hold out from not scoring boundaries.
Oh, that's fired in towards leg and clipped away. The man at backward square was much too square. And that rushed into the boundary for 4. And that's a poor ball. Got what it deserved.
I don't think the man at long leg had any chance, to be quite honest. Badly line delivery from Carlos Brown. No real thought into how he's going to dismiss the batsman. He's just trying to bowl a magical delivery there. Trying to fire it into the stumps. Badly lined and easy runs for any batter, especially a left-hander, off their legs. It's just too easy.
And especially one who is now 70-something not out. That's punched off the back foot. And it runs into the boundary again. This is just poor bowling. If you want any 2 balls as a batsman to score from, it's 1, a leg stump half volley, or 2, something short and wide outside off. That's probably the 2 most hittable balls in cricket. And 80 now to Romain, who must be saying thank you very much, Carlos Brown.
So that's 12 boundaries now for Romain Morris. And these 2 have been the easiest. Down the leg side, badly lined, and now very wide outside the off stump. Short, there was a man at deep point, but he slapped it to the right of the man at cover, who didn't even look at it.
Here's Carlos Brown. And this is driven, lovely shot for 4. Wow! So you got a leg stump half volley that was clipped away. You got something short and wide that was cut away. And then the bowler is saying, I could serve it up even nicer. half volley outside off. This experiment must come to an end with Carlos Brown.
Definitely. This is mediocre cricket from St. Catherine. It's poor cricket, average thinking as well. The field is not set properly if that's a line. You have to have more protection than that if you're thinking about bowling outside the off stump. But outside of that, the length is all over the place. It's either too short or too full. And that's going straight into the half of somebody who is on 84 now. That's just a freebie. And that first-class player, at least you'd expect him to cash in on that. That's bad cricket from St. Catherine. 13 fours now to Romain Morris.
Whoa, that one had some gas on it. Orion Williams' pride was hurt. That caught Morris by surprise as well. Played it well in the end, but that one had some gas on it. And Romain Morris played it well. It surprised him, which is what good bounces are supposed to do. Not a bad way to end the over, mind you. But it would have been interesting to see whether his captain keep him up.
Don't think he would be in any position to play such a shot. It was quick. Had to get out of the way pretty quickly. Did Romain Morris. But you have to put some thought into whatever you're doing as a bowling unit. And even if you're trying to set up the batsman outside the off stump, you still have to have things in place that protects the bowler. There's no protection for the bowler with only 3 men on the offside and he's bowling outside the off stump. And that's 3 runs.
When you bring on a part-timer, the one thing that part-timers tend to do is go for runs. Yeah, they'll have the lucky arm and they'll nick out a wicket here or there, but you must give them protection. And I agree with you. Wasn't all that great. Is that Orion who will continue? Yeah, it
definitely.
is.
Average cricket so far from St. Catherine in this post-lunch session.
And that's played out to where again they're coming. This could be tight. Is he? Not out, says the umpire. And they are livid. The fielding team is not happy. And somebody doing some press-ups in the middle of the pitch. That's Orion Williams himself. I'm not sure what that is supposed to signify. We're going to watch the replay here. You would make up your mind, Jerome, whether...
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be a partner with Romain Morris batting at the crease. He's always ball watching. He's always thinking about how am I going to get to the next end, which is always a problem when you're running between the wickets. You have to trust your partner. He's always looking as to where the ball is going rather than trusting the call. We haven't seen the replay as yet to see how close it was. But again, Morant punched it into the offside. Both of them set off for a single. And then he just turned his back on him. He's home.
He's home.
He's home. Morant is home. So good call there from the square leg umpire.
Which is one of the reasons why you can't use field as reaction to tell whether somebody is out or not. Because if there was no replay there, you'd think that the umpire got it dead wrong. But it was a good call.
Indeed. But have to get the signals better between the wicket. Kingston embroiled in too many of those problems since this session alone. About 3 times now.
Yeah, and that's punched up to a short mid-off position. Kennar Lewis is the man who was in the way. And Morant will continue. Morant is on 30, is that 38? Or is that 36?
Yeah, 36 and 84 for
the non-striker Morris. Oh, that's a good delivery, but he steers it well. And another single. The total, by the way, goes up to 186. Is that 166 for 2? 37 to Morant now. And Morris, who is on 84. His last 3 scoring strokes were 3 delightful boundaries. And let's see if he'll continue with this aggressive approach. Oh, that's a insider John to pad. A stifled appeal goes out to mid-wicket, no run.
Probably the best delivery from both part-timers combined. That delivery from Orion Williams, that one nipped back into the left-hander. Almost caught Morris on the crease and was late to getting his bat down, got an inside edge onto the pad and just ballooned into the offside. But when you look at the St. Catherine fielders, no one seems interested. Shoulders dropped, heads dropped, and just waiting for something to happen.
And that one was driven, knocked down, no run. You almost feel that they are bowling for runouts here, as if that's the most likely mode of dismissal at the moment, that one of these will get careless. They've looked as likely to get run out as any other form of dismissal. Morris on 87 will not want to throw his hands away. He's correctly pushing out towards extra cover. No run. Sean Grant will take you up for the next hour or so. And I'm taking my leave. It's the first water break after lunch, and Kingston continue to be in a good position.
So 166 for 2 for Kingston after being sent into bat. 3 hours into play now, and they've looked the better team, much more focused than St. Catherine, who have done mediocre things so far in this session. Poor captaincy, poor choices, poor bowling rotations, poor field setting, and it looks ominous now. It looks as if Kingston can bat them out of the game unless they get a couple of quick wickets in the next 40-45 minutes or so.
Well said, Jerome. Jerome will also take a break, and we'll just await the start of the resumption of the water break. What has been interesting, though, from this morning when St. Catherine, they won the toss and elected to field, and they were expecting, though, because I was passing the team talk at the time when the coach was having a word with the lads, and he was stating that there is some moisture, always some moisture at Sabina Park. And we saw a bit of moisture, though, but the batsmen who opened the innings took advantage of the situation, and you saw shots all over the venue. But guess what? They're good combinations, they're good partnership, Buchanan and Morris. I know Morris and Morant, they're both unbeaten. Morris on 84, Morant on 37, score stands at 166. This for 2. So if you ask the question, it's not in limbo, it's not balanced. Kingston having the advantage, though, and many persons will think that the Senior Cup final will go down to a first innings victory. As stated by Jerome earlier on, that St. Catherine is yet to be bowled out in this year's Senior Cup. So they have a long batting lineup. So Kingston know that, so they have to pile on the runs as best as possible. And if any time is needed to do that, this is the time, right in the final, when it matters most. But both Higgins and Foster were stating about the spin, and they started back with spin at the resumption of play after lunch, post lunch, and I am agreeing with both, as I thought that was the wrong thing to do. That's what I thought. But that's what they did, because they had some success with both bowlers, 3 bowlers, you may say. Not necessarily success with taking wickets, as Royal is the only one to have taken 2 wickets so far. But Ramal Lewis, bowling from the Michael holding end, he started out at the quarter watch end, was not as controlled as when he changed ends and was bowling in front of the George Headley stand, and at that time he had major control of his bowling. Did not take a lot of wickets, but not a lot of runs were scored off his bowling, and they were bowling mean at the latter stages of the first of 3 sessions. And I think because of that, the batsmen were choked up and wanted to release the shackles, and 2 drives outside the off stump gave Royal his 2 wickets, both being caught at first slip. We've seen respective field settings or field placings. So pace will still continue as the captain have a word with him. You see him at the top of your screen. So Powell, I'll be now introduced opening bowler. Brown was operating from this end. They've taken off Brown and brought on Powell. And Powell will bowling to Morant. So one slip and a gully. Backward point. There's a cover, mid off and mid on, mid wicket. One more so a long leg. And a square leg boundary. So Powell, let's see what he has to offer. Bowling to Morant. Outside the off stump, trying to angle it down to the third man region. And a backward point is there. Came on to the batsman a bit quickly. Saw the intention though from Morant. So Powell, from just in front of the George Headley stand, goes by umpire Bran. Oh, that tucked him up somewhat. I was in two minds though, whether to come forward or to play defensive. And Morris will have a word with Morant. Just to simmer him down though. Both batsmen have been developing our nice partnership. I'm going to look to the scorers to see what the partnership is like. 81 for the third wicket. Paul once again. Tomaran short, pulling. Oh, man down by long leg is there. Moving to his left though. They go through for one. Rocking back was Morant. A short delivery from Powell. Scoreline ticks away. 167 for 2. I was looking at the same field. That was set for Morant. So 2 for Morris. No, actually. Short fine leg being implemented. One slip, a gully backward point, extra cover, mid-off. Short mid-on, going to the left hand, a shot, pulling into the boundary for 4. Solid, well-timed effort from Morris. Another short delivery from Powell, dispatched by Morris, straying somewhat. No one moved except for the fielder, the square leg region. And I would think, though, he was thinking of going and picking it up from the boundary more so than saving the boundary. Morris looks around. Scoreline moved to 171. He's gone on to 88. Powell once again. Shot again. He pulls. Will he be caught or will he go for 6? He goes for 6. Another short delivery from Powell. 3 straight short deliveries from Powell, dispatched by Morris. Oh my word. He has moved to now 94. So 94 runs. And the way how Powell is bowling, he may reach his century in this over. That's Morris. No adjustments in the field. Long leg. Deep square leg. Mid on. Mid off. Extra cover. Back with a point. Gully. One slip. Ball into the left-hander. Trying to pull once again. Mistimed effort. Short. Not as short as the deliveries before from Powell. But they go through for one. The intent is shown by Morris. As he crosses for one, he'll face up. Well, this is intriguing. As he has moved on to 95, the score 178 for 2. So Williams continuing from the corner watch end. And you saw the intent from Morris as he's doing some guarding work. So the shackles have been broken. The shoulders is now broader than ever before. He stands on a 95. Williams from the quarter watch end into the left-hander. Good delivery, pitched above middle off. Movement of the seam into the left-hander. Good delivery from Williams. Not giving him the length that was given him by Powell. He punished Powell in that last over. .178 on the board. So the sun is back out in all its glory on this Saturday afternoon. To the left-hander, covering up defensively. Playing on the offside is Morris from that Williams delivery. There is a long off and a deep mid-on. Mid-wicket, one slip. Gully. Extra cover. And more so for cover fielder. Backward point deep. Cutting well. They go through for one. They think of a second, but the thought has come to a reality. So 2 more runs off the bat of Morris. And he has gone on to now 97. The score 178 or 180 I think, for 2. Just getting confirmation from the scorer. Look up to the scorers, Douglas and Nelson, representing both teams. Williams bowling to the left-hander, who sits on 97. Morris defensively playing the ball on the onside. Man at mid-on has been brought in. Need some guarding work though. Williams looks around. So to Morris. Has been prolific in this innings. Has certainly carried the fight to St. Catherine, who won the toss and elected to bowl earlier this morning. Williams once again. Punching down the ground, they go through for one. Man coming off the long off boundary. One is all they get. One more run to the total. He has moved on to 98, while the score ticks over to 181 for 2. This is very encouraging. In 1 over, he upped the ante. Was like a dynamite. In the other, he's traveling like a Sunday afternoon stroll. So he can turn it up and he can turn down the heat. Nevertheless, he's still bubbling. He's at the non-striker's end. Morant will be facing up to the bowling of Williams. Same field, not much change. Mid-wicket, deep mid-on, long off. Williams to Morant, kept a bit low outside the off-stump. Signals the end of another over. Score stands at 181 for 2 after being sent into bat. Morris on 98 and Morant with him on 38 runs. Will it be Paul to continue from this end? That's a big question that will be raised. So spin has been brought in. Ramal Lewis coming back to the end that he loved so much. Remember, he started out at the Cornwalsh end. Now he's going to be bowling again from the Michael Holding end in front of the George Headley stand. And let's see what he will do as he's looking for the scalp of Morris. Morris is looking to reach 3 figures. However, the score stands at 181 for 2. They have bowled in long stretches though, Lewis and Royal. Is he trying to pressure him for him to play rash shots? Because he looks pretty comfortable against the pace bowlers. Morris. And Brown felt the wrath. With the light breeze blowing over the ground here at Sabina Park, persons expect a lot more action in the afternoon. A session and a half to go, you may say, on the opening day of 2, the Senior Cup final under the JCA banner. It's a beautiful day for cricket. So look on the field now. Slim it off, slip, backward point, extra cover. Here's a sweep on the boundary, mid off, mid on, mid wicket. Also, man, deep square leg. Lewis pulling on to his run up as the batsman Morris just stepped away. Well, I said before, light breeze blowing over the ground, and the light has certainly turned to heavy. Bowling to the left-hander, as our weatherman in question, Mr. Foster, did point out that the breeze is blowing across the ground from Camp Road going to St. George's College. Lewis once again outside the off stump, cutting beautifully. And this should pick up his century. They go through for 1 as the ball now hits the rope. A beautiful century. This from Morris. Romain is his first name. Leading from the front, this young man has been there, up the ante, cooled it down, did what he had to do, but he's still standing strong for Kingston as he has now gone on to 102. What an innings we have seen from this young man. A well-deserved ton by Romain Morris. Short delivery from Lewis. We applauded him earlier on for his control in the bowling department. Lewis shot again, going back and punching through the offside. No run scored from that delivery. Lewis will be continuing. You have to applaud the innings, though, by Morris. Well-tempered, of the ante when it needed. Into the left-hander with that delivery from Lewis, playing defensively, hitting the inner half of the bat. But the applause have to ring out for Morris's innings. As you watch this delivery, only to find the man has slim it off. When he needed to be aggressive, he was. When he needed to cool down, he did. When he needed to play defensively, he did. When he needed to put the ball on the ground, he did. Or to go the aerial route, he did. Well-tempered innings so far. It's not done just yet. Lewis punching through the covers. They go through for one. Sweep on the boundary. Make it be one. One is all it's going to be. End of the over. One more to the total. 103 on the board for Morris. And the score has moved on to 186. It's for two. Great going by Romain Morris. And great is not the word, though. An excellent innings from this young man. Has weathered the storm with the spinners all around. And when the pace bowler stepped in, he stepped into them and dispatched all over the ground. So Williams continuing. From the corner watch end. Still bowling to Morris though. Morant has been at the non-strikers end for some time. Has been on the watchful side of things. Not because you want to. That's how it has played out. Gully, slip, extra cover. A wide, long off, and a mid-on. And some more adjustments being made in the field. Now the wide, long off has come off the boundary. Now it's been sent back. You're not seeing it in your picture. Man on the square leg boundary. So Williams once again bowling to Morris. Wayward outside the off stump. Wicketkeeper had to come across. That was a wayward delivery though by Williams, and he stared him down, staring at Morris. Will that help? Maybe that will help to get the wicket of Morris, because nothing else has helped on this day. Nothing has worked. There are some words being said, and I'm assuming words are being said, or it could be a staring down contest. And the score stands at 186 for two. Williams continues. Bowling to Morris. Oh, cutting is Morris, but can't beat the cover cordon. They thought of a single, though. And this is better from Morris, though, because we have seen him play in the covers and take off. But this time he was extremely watchful and communicated with Morant, his non-striker, his partner. So maybe in this innings he has learned. But time will tell. But score stands at 186 for two. Williams again from the Courtney Walsh end. Bowling to Morris. Outside the off sub, cutting this time around. They go through for one. One is all they get. Direction from Williams. If he's bowling just outside the off stump, I think he would have actually putting maybe a second slip. He has one slip and a gully. Because it seems like that's his line, and that's how he has bowled so far in this over. A few spectators in the ground here at Sabina Park. It's a two-day final. Williams once more. Put into Morant. Be very watchful, a better deliver into the left-hander. And he saw the deliveries to Morris was outside the off stump. This one coming back to the left-hander from Williams. Discussion again from Williams to Morris. Was leaning over his bat is Morris, not paying anyone any mind, as they are trying to unravel him for him to play some rash shots. Williams goes by umpire right. Oh, that's a bumper. That was short. I think that went over the shoulder, though. Persons are asking whether it's a wild delivery. But the signal now coming from umpire right. So one no ball in the over. One bouncer in the over, pardon me. Because I was thinking it was going to be a no ball. That's why I said that. Or wide. So that's a dot delivery. So that delivery, I thought it was going to be adjudged a wide, but the signal from the umpire to say that the one bouncer for the over. So a dot delivery. Williams once again, bowling to Morant. Oh, pulling. Will he be caught? Will he be caught? Yes, he will. That's a third wicket to go down. Pulling, hitting the upper half of the bat. Spewed right up in the air, and he was caught. And Williams getting his first wicket, and Kingston losing their third, with the score standing at 187. Morant is disgusted with himself, has thrown down the bat not once but twice. He must be disappointed with himself, but Williams getting his first wicket of the match. The third wicket to go down, 187 for 3. So Derval Green is a new batsman. Coming to join Morris. Morris has seen the back of few players on his team, but he still stands strong though at 104. Derval Green. Morant making 38. So did the batsmen cross? No, they did not. Hit the upper half of the bat, spewed right in the ear, top edge, and was caught. Third wicket to go down, going for 38, Morant. Saw a half century in his sights, though. I think that's why he's disgusted with himself, more so than anything else. Ramal Lewis will be continuing. That was the last delivery of that over. So Lewis will be bowling to Morris. Morris watchful. That's a punch. Back down. Fielded. As you see some words being said to Green, the new batsman at the non-striker's end. Lewis. Flighty delivery. In the inner half of the bat, they go through for a quick single, and they complete the single. Playing the ball on the onside, taking off was Morris. One more run to the total, and one more run off the bat of Morris. He has moved on to 105. Score stands at 188 for 3. It's a right and left combination for Kingston. Kingston CC in this final. And they can hold their heads up high after being sent into bat. Losing the toss this morning. Lewis into the right-hander. Watchful with that delivery was Green. Playing the ball on the offside. Lewis continuing from the Michael holding end. Going by umpire Brian. Covering up well. Green back down the track. Feeling for the flight and the turn on this pitch. Green, the new batsman. After Morant was caught off the bowling of Williams. That's why he's at the crease. Morant made 38. The bowler, Lewis, going across. Not allowing the ball to go to the mid-off region. That's good from Lewis. Bowling to Green. Need some guarding work is Green. Forward short leg implemented. And has brought him in the play. That signals the final delivery of that over. The 55th to be exact, 188 for 3. Green yet to get off the mark. He has faced 4 deliveries, while Morris is on 105. This from 161 deliveries. He opened the bat a few overs ago off the bowling of Brown and Powell. Will be Williams to continue from the Courtney Walsh end. He makes his way. He's not in your screen. Yes, he is with the red cap. He's taking his sweet time, though, Williams. And the captain having a word with one of his players, looked like Lewis. Having a discussion mid-pitch. And Williams just handing his cap to umpire Wright. You have to ask the question, though, what is the ploy to get rid of Morris? He has been there for some time. He has faced 161 deliveries. Bowling to the left-hander, wayward delivery. Continuing on the same line, though, and we saw it in that last over from Williams when he was bowling outside the off-stump. And that's the line he continues with. So once again, Williams from the Courtney Walsh end will be bowling to the left-hander, Morris, the man who has scored a ton so far outside the off-stump. Again, that is the ploy. He wants Morris to come across to play the attacking shots he has been playing, but he has to bowl them closer for him to play at them. He has been wayward those first 2 deliveries. That's Williams. As Green having a word with Morris. As Williams will be continuing. Taking their sweet time, though, St. Catherine. Bowling to Morris once again. Williams. Oh, beaten outside the off-stump. Beaten outside the off-stump. Going right through to the wicket keeper. Hanging his bat out for dry. He was not playing a shot, though. Came across. Thinking to open the gates. And Williams should be encouraged by that delivery. Williams once again, 1 slip, a gully, extra cover, long off, mid-on, mid-wicket. The man more so at the long leg region for the left-hander, Morris. Also the square leg boundary. Outside the off-stump, he's testing him. He wants him to drive, though, but he has to bowl a little bit closer. He stretched for that delivery, though, Morris. It's a battle between the two. A mental and physical. The ploy The ploy this by Williams is for him to play shots outside the off stump. But he's bowling wide. See, this will get closer. Yes, it does. Full face of the bat plays on the offside. No run scored as Williams give him a look down. Morris not paying him any mind whatsoever. One delivery to go to complete the 56th over of this innings. Has been an interesting game or interesting final so far. Williams once again bowling to Morris. Punch to the ball coming off the outer half of the bat. They go through for one, and one is all they get. That's the line he wants, though, Williams, for him to play out the delivery. He's hoping that he can get an edge. But if that's the line he's utilizing, I'd rather him to put in a second slip. Because he's seen the ball like a breadfruit now. And the fact is, if he gets an edge, it will be a heavy edge, not a light edge, of his bowling. So maybe second slip should be implemented. I'm just saying. Or so than a gully. Score stands at 189 for 3, 106. That's a score for Morris. And Green is at the non-striker's end. Morris has been doing this for some time, though. I think that's the reason why Morant got out, though, because he has been at the non-striker's end for some time, at least 3 or 4 overs, watching Morris. And he rotated the strike every time, so he got an opportunity, and I think he lost his rhythm. Lewis bowling to Morris. Mid-on, being utilized. Still mid-off once again implemented. Lewis once again bowling to Morris. Flighty delivery, punching through the cover region. The long off moving to his right. They go through for one. One is all they get. That was a flighty delivery from Lewis. One more run to the total. One more run off the bat of Morris. He goes on. No, 107, scores 6, or stands on 190 for 3. Green facing up to Lewis. Going forward. He was very watchful in Lewis's last over. That's Green. He has faced 5 deliveries so far. Not yet off the mark. Quicker delivery. Going back, tucked him around. They go through for one. And one is all they get. He's off the mark. Met with some applause inside of these stands here at Sabina Park. So Kingston having a little bit of crowd in the venue. No pom-poms on site. But they're enjoying the day. Lewis bowling to Morris. Flighted on the outside the off stump. Playing the ball. The cover region. Defensively it was Morris. 191 for 3. He's on 107 from 170 deliveries. Lewis continuing. Driving. But only to find the man still a bit off. Now that was a good fielding, though, because I was looking all around, though, when I heard the noise. I thought it was a shot exploding. And I thought, though, that the patches in the grass would have actually dug up from that shot. But the man is still mid off, made a spectacular save, did not move. So Jerome Foster is back in the building. I saw him earlier on, though, next door, doing some dancing. Now he's with us. Go ahead, Jerome.
I don't know about all of that. But it hasn't been pretty dancing for St. Catherine, actually. They have been struggling. And wickets, few and far in between. I think they have only taken wickets when you are on commentary. So maybe they need you to stay here. So, but we saw a very poor shot from Lionel Morant. A nothing shot. It was caught. Well, he was caught in two minds whether to cut or pull. Ended up doing neither because he just spooned the ball up in the air and was caught almost on the pitch of an innocuous short delivery from the medium pacer. And it didn't seem as if St. Catherine could open the door to get a wicket at any other point until Morant gifted his wicket away. But we have seen a wonderful century from Romain Morris. Good drives, good cuts, good front foot and back foot play. And he has done extremely well to get to 107. He has batted all day so far, 191 for 3. That's a very strong position for the home team, even though it's supposed to be a neutral venue.
Green in the ball on the onside. That delivery from Williams, continuing from the Courtney Walsh end. And doing the analysis, though, and I'm listening to you, but I thought, though, to be honest, that Morant, because he was at the non-striker side for 3 overs, I mean, a lot of the deliveries were played by Morris. He wasn't faced with any. He got an opportunity. I think he lost his rhythm. I think that's why he played that shot. His rhythm was gone, and he mistimed that shot. So clipping fine. The long leg region was Green going through for a single from that delivery from Williams. Sometimes as a player, no matter what sport you are, if you get a time to rest, you sort of lose your rhythm to when you start back up.
Fair enough. Still thought he could have handled that delivery a little bit better, but your point is taken. It's understandable, especially the type of player that he is. He's a very aggressive player by nature, so he loves to have bat on ball. And if you're taken away from that privilege, you're going to get a little bit more anxious, overly excited when you get back on strike, and that probably turned out to be his undoing.
Driving again is Morris, as Williams putting his hand on his head. They think of a second, though, but it's not there. But again, the ploy, though, this to Morris, is angling the ball outside the off stump, trying for it to move away from the left-hander. And it hit the outer half of the bat, though. He was not in full control of that shot, and that's why you saw Williams putting both hands on his head. He's not using the royal sign of looking up in the air. He has his own.
Talking about Royal, he hasn't bowled for about 40 minutes.
Well, he bowled when they came back from the luncheon interval.
Yeah,
and then that
have been off since then.
Yeah, and that's it.
So he has been off for some time.
Yeah, he has.
You see the operation of medium pacers. You saw Malik Powell coming back. Didn't really work out. Now you're back with Williams and Romal Lewis. And it's been easy going for Kingston regardless of who is in the attack since the luncheon interval, because Derval Green now is on strike. He's on 2 from 9, but at no point has he looked troubled. It's easy pace and easy scoring.
You are absolutely correct. He looks in fine fettle, who looks ready for the occasion. However, he only has 2 runs beside his name. One slip. Driving. Oh. Hitting the inner half of the bat. And there's a short, fine leg, though, that was brought up. And the captain was there. And went wide to his left.
I don't think Green saw him. Almost like a leg gully.
Yeah.
But I think he was a little bit too fine. If he had been 2 or 3 meters to his left, he would have been straight to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
Green normally falls over to play through the onside, so you understand why they have that field placement. Innovative, but the lot not going their way so far.
But if you want the ball to go to anybody as a batsman in the field right now, it would be him as a batsman. Because the way he has been feeling hasn't been that great at all. So if anyone should put down an opportunity, it would be him.
He dropped a chance of his own bowling earlier. Pete Salmon missed a couple of run-out opportunities, misfielded a couple of deliveries, went out to the boundary as well. So not having the best of days. His captaincy choices haven't been great either.
End of another over, end of the 58th over. Score stands at 194 for 3. Green on 3, and Romain Morris on 108 from 173 deliveries, though. And he saw the line that by Williams a short while ago outside the off stump to Morris, and that's what he has been doing and trying to lure him, trying for him to play at it. Will he be successful? Well, he's keeping that line, or try to keep that line, because a few times he has been way outside the off stump. So let's see if he can be disciplined to hold that line to tempt Morris, because they want the wicket of Morris, and that's St. Catherine. He has certainly piled on the runs, 108, and still going though. And even if he looks shackled at any time, he has slowed down somewhat. He has upped the ante other times. He has done different things. So he has consolidated, and then he has gotten aggressive. So even you see him now not making any runs, or not making a lot of runs, next time, the next over, he can explode. That's what we've seen from him so far in this innings.
It's probably a little bit of respect as well for certain bowlers. More respect to some than others. He showed absolutely no respect to Carlos Brown, who he took to the cleaners. He showed none to Malik Powell, who came back for a solitary over and was whisked out of the attack after that attack, and almost an onslaught from Morris as Royal comes back into the attack to bowl to Derval Green.
Well, he looks different from this end, though. Was having a word with the scorer a short while ago, and when you look at his shoulders, it had expanded, because I knew of him when he was in high school. Royal bowling to Green, turn the ball on the onside.
And this is a good move by the captain as well. Tell you what, Derval Green was looking settled. Getting your best bowler on for the day so far to challenge the newer batter is always a good option. Green plays spin well.
So that was in my mind when he said that. That's a great decision to make by Captain Salmon, but I was in two minds in saying that, though, because he does play spin well.
Yeah. But if you back somebody to get him out, it would be Javor Royal.
Let's see.
Has a very good arm ball as well.
Oh, that's a chance. Edge over the man at first slip, goes into the boundary for 4. That's an opportunity for St. Catherine. However, an innocuous boundary from Green, and the score has ticked over to 198.
That was flat and fast from the spinner. It almost took first slip out of the way. It was better for him not to take that chance or
really
go towards it. It almost took him out. It flew to him. He didn't have a chance, to be quite honest. It flew past the keeper's right hand. Didn't get a chance to take. He didn't have a chance to react, to be quite honest. For Ramal Lewis, it went very quickly.
That's what reflexes are all about. If you have great reflexes or not. I'm not saying it. I think he could have taken it, though, to be honest. That delivery from Royal. He looks in the air once again when Green played that ball on the onside defensively. He's looking on Green, though. I don't know if it's from that last delivery or the delivery before where he got a chance. Royal seems like he's posing for the photographers who are not here.
I think Morris is struggling, stooping over, not sure what is the problem. Let me state that clearly now. And the hold-up of play there caused by him.
Royal once again. The Green playing on the inner half of the bat. Playing on the onside. They go through for 1. Then they come back for the second. Using the aerial route, though. Not timing that drive, though. And the ball going into the right-hander. So 2 more runs to the total. And they have now reached 200 mark. So that is Kingston after being sent into bat, losing the toss earlier this morning in the Senior Cup final here at Sabina Park, playing against St. Catherine. So 200 on the board, 108 is for Morris and 9 for Green.
That's a solid position now for Kingston. You normally weigh where you are by adding 2 wickets to whatever total you have. So 200 for 5. Should they lose 2 wickets now, you'd still take that.
You frightened me a while ago. You said 200 for 5. I said, whoa,
Yeah,
when were those 2 wickets?
That's how you measure how much of a position you are, how good of a position you are in cricket. Just add 2 wickets to the score that you have. So if you should be 200 for 5 now, I still believe they would take it. St. Catherine knows that they're not far away from coming back into the game. They just need a couple of quick wickets based on the batting order that is left. The batting lineup is not as strong or as deep as St. Catherine's, but they still have formidable opposition who can hold the bat or hold up an end.
Well, Royal should be happy with what he saw with that shot from Green a short while ago, because Green was releasing the shackles and playing the ball on the outside. The inner half of the bat, though, was not in control of that. And as a spinner, you don't want to see a person trying to make shots against you like that. You know that you can get that wicket. They're not going to be coming here to play ultra defensive. And because you're not playing ultra defensive, you have a glorious opportunity to get that wicket. So he must be happy when he saw that from Green.
Yeah, he could be. But also for Kingston, you need somebody to up the ante and take the game away from St. Catherine. You don't want them to loiter around and linger around and give them that outside chance of thinking they can come back. So Green is going to be aggressive. He's going to be on the front foot. He's going to try to score as quickly as possible to move the game along quickly, to give themselves adequate time to get to a very strong first innings total where they can cause some problems. Obviously, the first innings aim is to get to 300, which puts you in a very strong position. But the quicker you can get to 300 and take away the mental toughness of St. Catherine is also important.
And that is true. Williams will be continuing from the Courtney Walsh end, bowling to the left-hander Morris. Was taking his sweet time since he has reached 3 figures. He just sits on 108, 1 slip, a gully, extra cover, long off, mid-on. Williams bowling outside the off stump, covering up defensively. With the height on that delivery, mid-wicket, man at long leg, and man at the square leg boundary. 2 umpires on hand for this afternoon's game, or today affair, I should say, is Christopher Wright, who is standing umpire, and Colin Brand, who's at the square leg region. Short delivery. Trying different things, though, Williams, against the left-hander. Hasn't worked out well, though. At one point, you saw him with a false shot. However, that was a ploy. He was bowling just outside the off stump, and that's a dot delivery. And you have to ask the question, though, to be honest. How can you get him out? That is the million-dollar question being asked by St. Catherine.
And it's obvious why you ask, and it's clear why it can't be projected, because St. Catherine are not bowling to one plan. And I'll explain after this delivery.
Outside the off stump, you see that ploy once again. Being very watchful is Morris. Had a word with Green earlier on after he made that false stroke. And once again, Green and Morris will talk mid-pitch. And I think he's telling him, relax, let them bowl outside the off stump. We have it. I'll be attacking at the other end.
Yeah, and I was saying the plans from St. Catherine to Morris, they haven't been consistent. So if it's going to be the outside the off stump plan, you need to set a field that reflects that is going to be the plan. Secondly, obviously the plan for Malik Powell when he came back was to go short at him. He did it one time, he did it in an over, and he was taken out of the attack because the plan didn't work.
Well,
and again, he wasn't supported with the field, because if you're going to be going short, your deep backward square has to be behind square. He was in front of square, and the ball consistently went behind square. And then he's taken out of the attack. So it's questionable what they were trying to do and how much longer they could have prolonged with certain plans. Williams has more control. He has about 7.4 overs, conceding only 22. He has more control, but from the other end, with the other bowlers, there was no definitive plan.
Williams once again, another bumper outside the off stump, and being very watchful now is Morris. And we see the signal coming from the umpire. Signal all around. But the fact is, though, if that's the ploy, he wants him to play at it. He wants him to cut at that delivery. That's Williams. But as you said before, which I am not, and I'm not going to lament too much on this point, the field they're seeing now, is that the right field to do that? I'm just asking. Williams going by umpire right. Oh, beaten outside the off stump. Not for the first time. And the ploy continues and the plot thickens. End of the 60th over. 200 for 3 is Kingston after being sent into bat after losing the toss in the Senior Cup final against St. Catherine. Green is on 9 and Romain Morris is on 108 from 179 deliveries.
And that's probably the best delivery he has faced since lunchtime. That one brought him forward and nipped away late. Lucky that he didn't get a nick. Probably a lesser batter would have gotten a nick on that one, or somebody who hasn't faced almost 200 deliveries. Still, that probably saved him, but that was a beautiful delivery from Orion Williams. Pitched, coming from around the wicket, pitched on middle and off stump and seamed away and almost took the edge. Was groping at that one. And look at it again. His right leg didn't get to the pitch of the ball. It was straight down the pitch rather than going across and moved away from the left-hander. Another surprising move here by St. Catherine. One over for Jevoy Royal, and the captain is back.
What I think, though, that he will replace Williams because his success came at the other end. So I think
possibly,
Royal,
but there's only 3 minutes to go before tea.
Bowling to Green. Salmon. I think Royal, who was brought on a short while ago, was brought on at this end, at the Michael Holding end, but he got his 2 wickets at the Courtney Walsh end. So maybe his next over will be at the Courtney Walsh end. They replace Williams and put him on back. I'm just assuming, though, to be honest. I don't have a crystal ball. Did not walk with it today. Salmon bowling to Green, playing back that delivery, playing on the offside. So forward short leg for the right-hander, one slip, backward point. Mid off, mid on, mid wicket, deep mid wicket. Salmon to Green, flighted delivery. He thought about a driving, though, half-hearted drive from Green. Salmon once again. Coming forward defensively is Green on the outside. One thing I can say about you, though, you keep your time well. Whether it's lunch, whether it's tea.
No.
Salmon going by the umpire. Flighted. Going back this time around is Green.
And I'll explain why. Because as a batter, you always know the key moments in the game. And approaching any interval is very dangerous. You normally lose your concentration closer to and after a break. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, well, is that tea? I think it's tea. The bails have been removed by umpire Brian, and that signals tea. The players are walking off. How would you rate this session, though? Who would you give it to? Kingston or St. Catherine?
95 runs in the session for Kingston, only 1 wicket lost. Obviously, they're still on top. And they're scoring at a good rate, 3.28. So should they bat out the rest of the day, they should get upwards of 270, 275. And that should be a very healthy position where they can dictate the pace of the game and the contest for the rest of the final. And Romain Morris continuing on his merry way so far. He's on 108 and he has looked in fantastic touch. One chance offered this morning, and that was to Pete Salmon early on. Other than that, he's looked in an impregnable position, untouchable, unfazed, and it's looking very ominous here for St. Catherine.
Well, it's just, well, as you said before, and I heard Orville with it, though, saying once runs are on the board, runs are on the board. The first time I heard that was from Mr. Hertzman, who was a member of Lucas before he passed on. And that's one thing he always said, that once runs is on the board, you can't take it out. You can't take it away. Runs are on the board. So piling on the runs right now is Kingston, and they have 200 for 3, and Morris 108, Green 9. T on the first day of 2 in this Senior Cup final. Sean Grant, my good friend Jerome Foster. When we come back from the break, you'll hear from Orville Higgins and Foster take you through the first hour after tea.
So we are about to witness play after tea on this, the first day of this 2-day Senior Cup final here at Sabina Park. Kingston are in a fairly decent position, 200 for 3. And Romain Morris continues to carry on. He's been there from the very start. He's 108 not out. And he'll be taking first strike here. And they're scoring round about 100 a session. Jerome, they got 105 in the pre-lunch session. And here's the first ball down the leg side. They got, what would that be now, 95 in the second session. So one or two spectators say they are going a little bit too slow. Would love to hear your thoughts on it.
I would have loved for them to be 230, based on having 2 set batters in the middle of the second session. Could have been a little bit more aggressive.
What's interesting is that when Derval Green plays for Jamaica, he's almost a shot a ball. Granted, he wouldn't be batting at number 5 for Jamaica, but
I think he was just building up to after tea, just getting himself set, getting an understanding of the pace of the wicket, etc.
There's the first run.
Yeah, I think after the first 10-15 minutes in this session, you're going to see him probably try to be a little bit more aggressive on the front foot, trying to clear the boundary as well. And as I was saying to Sean before the break, despite being in a healthy position, you still want to take the game away from the opposition completely, because anything can happen with a couple of quick wickets. And you can move from 200 for 3 to 250 for 8. if you're not careful. So I think you need somebody who can step on the accelerator and put the pedal down and have almost like a foot in the neck of St. Catherine for the next 40, 45 minutes or so on.
All right, so here is Royal. And Green is standing up and plays out into the offside. I wonder how much of the pace at which they're scoring is a healthy respect / fear of the St. Catherine batting lineup. We'll discuss that in a while as Green is forward, again plays out into the offside.
I think that's a very good point, actually. A lineup that hasn't been dismissed all season. The names that you see, obviously cricket isn't played on paper. But if you give them 280 in a day and a half, you're going to be in trouble if they bat to their capabilities.
That's it, and he's gone. Playing all around one that may have stayed down a touch. Green looks back at the umpire, but it looked fairly straight. He's suggesting that he may have gotten some bat on it. But the umpire has sent him on his way. The first wicket falls after tea in quick time. And it's now 201 for 4.
Sometimes it's difficult to agree with the batsmen when they show their bat immediately. But from the outset, it looked quite adjacent. It looked in front. It looked as if he was in trouble. But we wait for the replay to see if there was any bat. He's adamant that there was bat involved, that it was a massive inside edge. He's telling everybody that it was bat, but Javor Royal picks up his third. That one was the arm ball, sliding in with the arm, with the angle. And another wicket goes down. And dangerous position now. The scoring rate might come back up into question again.
Yeah, new batsman is Riley. Mikhail Riley, the new batsman. And it makes Morris's occupation probably even more important now. He's seen 4 people perish at the other end, and it's another left-handed batsman.
Absolutely. He has to stay there now for the rest.
Oh, it's Morris on strike again. For a minute I thought it was somebody else.
Yeah, Morris has to stay for another 15, 20 overs here at least to see his team close to that 260, 270 mark. And it's going to get a little bit more difficult for scoring now, seeing that an aggressive player like Derval Green has been dismissed.
Here is Morris now. And it is Salmon who will start. A new over here from the North Stand then. It's 201 for 4. And here's Salmon to Morris again, and Morris is forward. Does he go the other way, Jerome? Does he say, well, wickets are tumbling at the other end, and his approach could be one of 2 things. We'll discuss that after this delivery. He could decide to be even a little bit more solid in his stroke play, but there is also another school of thought that he may very well decide to be a little bit more positive, or it's too early to take that approach.
Probably too early. The session is just, 8 balls old. You give it some more time. You want to ensure that you don't lose wicket in clusters. That's the most important thing at this juncture.
Yeah, he stared at in the offside and can't score. He remains 109. Has been a very responsible innings here. This time he plays out into the onside for an easy single and takes Kingston now to 202 for 4.
That one sliding in with the angle from Pete Salmon, threatening the stumps and the front pad of Romain Morris. We must also point out that a lot of the Kingston first team players are not here as well.
Brandon King.
Most notably, Kirk McKenzie scoring a double century for the West Indies Academy team. I have so much ratings for that left-hander. I think he's a super talent.
Riley plays forward, yeah.
And you only hope that he kicks on from that double century. I think it hasn't gone well for a lot of West Indian cricketers when their first century is a double century. Whatever century it is, whether test cricket or first class cricket, the runs afterwards don't really match up. You almost see diminishing returns after those centuries, after that century. But we hope for Kirk's case and a Jamaican case, he didn't have the best of seasons either in first class cricket. He was batting all over the place. He was opening, he was batting at 3, 4. And now he scores 100. But as you mentioned, Brandon King, Kirk McKenzie, Andre Williams, 3 of the main players in the Kingston team are not here.
And those are people on the batting side, which is one of the reasons why they are a little suspect. That one is just tugged around on the onside square. That's why they are a little bit suspect in their batting department. So that is why they feel that even at this stage, they've got a reasonable score. They are by no means safe. But if they get 260, 270, and if their bowlers come into their own, we could have an interesting game here.
Yeah, and you can't fault them either for the cautious approach. Seeing if you're wary about your batting or your frailties as a batting unit, you want to take time out of the game.
With the other team's batting.
Exactly. You want to take time out of the game to ensure that your strong part of the game, the bowling, is whenever the next team comes, they have to be taking a lot of risks. And that is where it's going to play into the hands of Kingston.
Riley punched that to the offside but can't score. And Royal to continue. Well, there's maybe just done a little bit in the flight there, but played it safely enough out towards straightish mid-wicket.
Riley has to be careful with that front pad. Nice shot.
He drives, nice shot out towards the mid-wicket boundary. Lovely shot. 4 runs. Played that really well.
He did. His head was right over the ball as well. Watched it right onto the butt and went in one motion through the onside, through the V as well. Good shot there from young Riley. Looks good as we look back on the Derval Green dismissal. Well, it wouldn't be the dismissal because that's Pete Someone bowling.
Here's Royal again. Well, aborted the run just as he was about to wind up in the delivery stride. But here's he again. He's taking 3 of the 4 wickets to fall and brings Riley forward. No run.
Has to be careful. And you've mentioned that arm ball from Javor Royal is the major weapon delivery.
Well, that one was quick. It wasn't on the stumps. And that's what varying of pace does for you. We were talking earlier that we didn't quite see that from the other 2 spinners. They were basically one pace, and on a flat pitch you need to take all the rabbits out of the hat, all the skills out of your repertoire. And we're certainly seeing that from Royal to good effect.
Much better start from St. Catherine in this session. Got that early wicket in the session, the big wicket as well of Derval Green. Dangerous player. So they should feel a little bit more confident.
Salmon. And Morris punches up the pitch. Salmon runs around and ensure that there's no run. Here's Salmon again, and that's stroked into the offside off the back foot. Morris has certainly said himself, maybe to bat all day. He's looking to be patient. There is he, playing out towards mid-on again. Not taking any chances whatsoever. He's made up his mind that he wants to be here when the proverbial cows come home. He's playing forward again.
That's pretty comfortable as well. Looks at ease, looks as if he knows what he's going through. And he's not being rushed as well, which is very good to see. Understands the mindset of St. Catherine. Want to get through the overs as quickly as possible with less and less run scoring opportunities.
Yeah. I think that was better bowled by Salmon. He flighted that one a little bit, kept the pace back. And forward comes Morris, end of another maiden over. And the score continues to be 207 for 4.
And Morris is on the number that no Australian likes, 111. And the number 6 batsman, Michael Riley, he's on 4, one scoring shot. But Salmon, back to what he did well in the first session, which was containing. And, with limited scoring opportunities, batsmen's feet start to get dangling and tangling and things start to happen, and especially with the capabilities of Royal from the other end. And it's the same procedure from the start of the second session where Salmon and Royal started proceedings.
Riley in a bright blue headwear, bright yellow headwear rather. Plays out into the offside. Here's Royal again. And plays and misses.
Oh, that has to be a miss.
Spun a little bit.
Yeah, that has to be a miss-stumping. Spun a little bit past the off stump. Wicketkeeper Darnell McCullum, I think it is, didn't gather, but his back foot was dragging and it looked as if it was in the air.
Tough job for a keeper on a day when very little is beating the bat. It's probably one of maybe the 2 or 3 times that a batsman would have played and missed all game. And it does make the wicketkeeper lapse a little bit. And as you said, there could have been an opportunity. Forward comes the batsman again, no run.
Yeah, and Royal getting into his work now. He's able to be building up continuous amount of deliveries to Riley. Has to find a way to get off strike.
And he's hit, not out, says the umpire. Your verdict, Mr. Foster?
Seems as if it's sliding down the leg side. He wasn't playing a shot, which was dangerous. Dangerous. He was on the front foot. Didn't offer a shot, but it seems as if it was sliding down because the wicketkeeper was way down the leg side and the appeal wasn't as vociferous as you would like. It wasn't convincing as well. So seems as if Chris Wright got that one right.
And that's a cut shot, but straight to the man at backward point. And the cautious start after tea continues. It's 207 for 4. With Riley on 4 and Morris to take strike on 111.
That's what, 66 overs bowled now for the day. So they're going through at a fair clip, St. Catherine. They're getting through the overs, and that's done because they have 3 spinners in their lineup. They're getting through the overs. And importantly, I think since the start of this session, that's what, 5 overs bowled and only 7 runs scored. A wicket lost for Kingston. So they're almost jammed in a spot now, and that could be dangerous.
All right, here is Salmon. And Morris punches out towards long on coming off the fence. Gets his 112th run. It's 208 now for 4. And Riley will come back on strike.
Yeah, 208 now for 4. I think it's the first time Michael Riley will be facing Pete Salmon in this contest. Let's see, the matchup. They still have long on, surprisingly.
Well, they're bringing in long on now as you speak.
Yeah, that had to be done. Deep
so
mid
it's
wicket
out of
is
your
out.
picture, but long on coming into mid on.
Yeah, great.
Salmon now, and Riley's copybook forward plays back up the pitch on the offside, up towards mid-off.
I'll be tempted to have another man in front of the bat, just for the few deliveries.
And again, the batsman is forward. One spectator suggesting that 208 for 4 is too slow, but it's a noted St. Catherine supporter. And he's going to be suggesting to the Kingston batsman that you're mere plodding along. He's not impressed. And again, the batsman is forward. And straight back at the bowler. And that's worked out towards backward square. This could run pretty close to the boundary. It will get there now. And that's 4 runs to Riley. Ball pitched on the pad. And he worked it behind square nicely to get another boundary. 4 more to the total. Now 200 and, what's that, 12?
Yeah.
For 4.
My bad there. It seems as if he loves the onside, though, Michael Riley. Yes, 2 scoring shots, 2 boundaries through the onside. 1 forward of square, the other one backward of square. But that was badly lined by Pete Salmon. And he's bowling very quickly. A little bit concerning to me. As if he's afraid to see his ball go over the boundary or hit in the air. I think spinners love to see when batsmen are attacking them. Has to give them the chance to do that.
Riley's forward again. And that's the end of another salmon over. 212 for 4. With Riley on 8. And Morris, the left-handed opening batsman, is on 112. And he'll now be the man on strike.
Has to be a little bit better, Salmon. He's containing well. But you still want to show as if you can dislodge a batter by just outfoxing them with different variations rather than just flat arm balls straight through. Those are easy to contend with at any level. Once you have a batsman that is capable of holding the bat properly, he just has to negate it. He's not under any pressure to score quickly. And he's trying to build an innings. You want to tempt him. You want to have him coming forward. You want to get that man a short leg in play as well as the man at first slip. And none of that has happened so far. It has happened for Javor Royal. He has brought the slip in play twice.
Morris is forward. So Kingston, you'd have to say, have stuck to their game plan. They were scoring pretty quickly this morning, but I was making the point even then that they weren't looking for shots. They were dispatching the bad balls. And it has continued. They have respected the bowling. You may be a little extra critical and say that they could have been a touch more positive. But they have played very disciplined. You can't fault them for that. And here's another easy stroke down towards long on for a single. And it takes Morris up to 130.
Easy does it as well. Hasn't complicated anything, Romain Morris. Looks as if he's in a zone where he's telling himself he has to bat all day. And he's only going to cash in on anything that's loose. He's not going to overcomplicate the issue.
Riley drives back down the pitch. And no run. They have brought up mid-off and mid-on. So if Riley is courageous enough, he could go aerial down the ground. But so far, he's resisted that temptation. And there he's driving along the ground again up towards mid-off. May have just come off the outer half. Was planning to play a little bit straighter than that. But Royal from round the wicket again. And again the batsman's forward. This time maybe the arm ball again because it caught the inside half. Out to mid-wicket. End of another parsimonious over. And the score remains 213 for 4.
Tidy operations from Javor Royals, as if the overs are taking a toll on him now. You get from the score how many overs he has bowled so far. 20 overs out of the 68 overs bowled. So he's well and truly through his work so far today. That's what, 120 deliveries.
At what point is cut off for the day, Mr. Scorer? 5. Or, what if they get in? Well, it's 5. Whichever. All right, so we're hearing that the cut-off point is 5 o'clock. And Look like it will be 5. The 90 overs will be bowled by then. Salmon again. And Morris plays out towards Medan. Is there some reason to think that Morris could be a touch more positive?
Could be.
You're 111. He's supposed to be seeing it quite big. Not crazy, not careless. But you don't want to be bogged down. And let's see. He's driving back down towards long off. That must have been a half chance. The man at that catching extra cover made a dive to his left. Did it pass him in the ear? Looks like Lewis could have snaffled him, and that you'd have to say went down as a half chance.
It was. I don't think he was ready to get there. It didn't get to him with enough time for him to get that big left palm to the ball. So he's looking to find a way here, Pete Salmon, to dislodge Morris. He's bowling to Riley now. And back along the pitch. And it's a little bit of a concern. I understand why my fellow commentator Orville is questioning the rate at which Morris is going.
Yeah, Salmon bowls and Riley's forward. I'm saying I understand Kingston is a little bit wary of the St. Catherine batting, with good reason. End of the over as we speak. And maybe they themselves are a little wary of their own batting. And you can't question a team when they are saying, listen, we are 214 for 4. We are not playing irresponsible. So if we are going to err, we are going to err on the side of caution.
Of caution. And you can understand
we can get that.
Yeah, you can understand that. So it will be more of an onus on St. Catherine to be a little bit more proactive with the field placements then.
There you go.
Seeing that there's not much risks being taken by Morris, you can then lure him to try to go over the top more. Bring in that man from deep extra cover and carry him back into the circle.
Go. Bring in mid-wicket, say, well, we're not giving you any singles.
Exactly.
What now do you've got?
And I know where Kingston is going with what they're doing, because they know that the team, St. Catherine, they are very positive players. I guess they're going to try to test that patient level come tomorrow or later, even this evening, if they're forced to bat.
Royal bowls and Morris drives down towards long off. This is what I'm saying now, Jerome. For now, Morris is looking to just occupy. The odd single is coming. I'm not giving him that single down to long off. I'm saying to him, you want a single, you're going to have to hit over mid-off or take a chance elsewhere. It could very well be that the captain prefers to bowl at Riley, though. And maybe that single, because now the mid-off is now, well, at mid-on now. But now there's a single out towards third man. Inadvertent, but a single nevertheless. But I wouldn't be wanting these singles if I was St. Catherine. They all add up. It doesn't look spectacular.
It runs on the board.
But it runs on the board.
Yeah. And I'll be keeping that mid-off up all day.
Whether to Morris or
Riley.
Now he goes back to long off.
Yeah.
I'm not sending him back to long off.
Especially with the fact that he hasn't shown the inclination that he's going to be hitting over the top all day. To the spinners. He did so to Carlos Brown and to Michael Powell, but he hasn't done so to the spinners. He hasn't advanced once to the spinners. He played 2 sweep shots, one for a single and one that he thought was very close. Other than that, it has been punched down the ground, punched through the mid-wicket region, off the back foot. So the men on the boundary have been almost like a waste.
Unless the captain is saying, we want to bowl at Riley. Otherwise, I'm not. He's showing absolutely no inclination to take the bowling on. I'm telling him there's no single on offer with the field placing, and then see what he does. Now he sweeps out towards backward square, and they're coming back for the second. They'll get it in the end.
Some good work out there from Michael Powell, it seems. And I agree with you there in terms of not giving anything away. But I think another spin to it as well is that St. Catherine is saying this man is on 117 now. You have to give him some respect.
Yeah, but he's not taking the game away from you. It's 117 batting from 10 o'clock, so he's going along. I'm not giving him the single up to long off and to long on. And the thing with plans, it doesn't have to be long in the making. If I bring them up and he chips down the ground and goes over long off, and then I'll say, okay, boss, I'll respect that. Here's he again. Works this one round towards the man at 45. Doesn't get a run. And it's the end of the over. Kingston continues to move steadily along. It's now 218. 218 for 4.
And 218 for 4 reflects a good showing with the bat, especially after what happened last weekend for Kingston. They were bowled out for 197, I think, in their first innings, and then, well, they were reeling at 57 for 7 in that first innings, and then they were bowled out for 94, if I'm not mistaken, in that second inning. So this is a complete overhaul from what we saw last weekend at Noranda. And to do it in the final, it gives a little bit more confidence, especially seeing that they defended that 197 with their bowling. So it's a completely different opposition today, but still confidence will be seeping through the camp that they're in a better position and can actually go on to push for a victory the longer this game goes along.
All right, so the think tank of the St. Catherine team just meeting. We see Lewis there talking. Pete Salmon was also involved in that conversation. We'll never know what is being discussed, but
Carlos Brown was coming up.
Carlos Brown was in the midst of it as well. They may not be worried. Worried may be too strong, but they must be a little concerned at the scoreboard at the moment. 238. Well, 218 for 4. Riley on strike.
And it's almost as if they lost their bearings here. Just realized Orion Williams that he was at long off for Riley, who hasn't been there for a long time. He has 9. Well, he looks quite easy. He's looking to come forward, looking to get to the pitch of the deliveries, looking to swallow the spin of any projected spin as well. I just fear, though, that you don't want to be bogged down. You want to be seeing rotation of strike. You want to see the rotation of strike. You want to see runs flowing still, especially with the position that they were in. And
Someone bowls, and that's a lovely drive through the offside. That's more like it. That one was pitched up, and Riley reeled off with a perfect cover drive. And we've seen quite a lot of those here, Jerome, while they've gone along steadily, but when they do execute the shots, it's copybook, and that one was classically played.
Seems as if all the Kingston batters go through the same routines with the cover drives. They look the same once it's played. That was overpitched by someone, and he's not trying to hammer the ball. He's just caressing the ball through the covers with ease and grace.
I'd love to see that shot again. There's something I want to point out. If the directors could just show us back that cover drive. I like the fact there's a man stationed at cover, and just at the last minute, he angled the bat away from him. Would just love to see that 4 again. That's a nice little defensive shot. He played that 4 with a slightly open face, did it deliberately. Well, hopefully we could get to look at that again. Riley now moves to 13. He's hit 3 4s. So the game for Riley at the moment is almost block or big shot. And that was it again.
Yeah, good shot. That's something that you learn from Brian Lara. They use all the angles, loosening your grip on the bat as well, to get the ball between cover point and mid-off.
Yeah.
Brilliantly played.
Look at how he opened the face.
Opened the blade, yeah.
Yeah, really nice to see. Here's he driving back at the bowler. We're back to live action. And the man at cover is out of the screen at the moment, but had he hit directly to him, the shot would look nice, but he would have got no value for it.
Pretty much. Excellent execution.
And this time he's forced to just drop it on the onside, no run. Faster one from Pete Salmon.
See, the West Indies vice captain is in the house. Well, in the stands.
That's Jermaine Blackwood.
Keep going, keep going. Keep going, guys, keep going.
222 for 4. And the happier team of one would think would be Kingston. Salmon bowls, and that's really well defended. 1 or 2 little cheers going up from the members of the Kingston team. They like what they're seeing of Riley, who taps away. He's on 13. And he's studiously forward. End of the over, 222 for 4 with Riley on 13. And the left-handed Morris will resume, will come back to face on 170.
And he looks apart, Michael Riley. He's trying to ensuring that he's covering any form of deviation from the bowler right out onto that front foot. He's not extremely tall, but he's slimly built, decent height for a batsman. He's taller than Morris, and he's using every inch of his frame to get to that pitch of the deliveries and putting himself in a comfortable position to play the ball. And he looks quite easy. Not much happening off the surface. We have noted that all day. Hard work for the bowlers, hard graft as well. And I think Lionel Morant must be kicking himself for the way he was dismissed. Derval Green feels hard done by an umpire decision. And the other 2 just deceived in flight by Royal.
All right, so the first delivery played out towards mid-wicket. Now, I did say to one of the St. Catherine, let's say somebody close to the St. Catherine team, why did you give away the toss on such a flat wicket? The answer might interest you, Jerome. That's an appeal, not out, maybe inside edge. They said that Kennard Lewis was late. And I think Royal was also late. So you don't want to be batting. I think Kennard Lewis would have been the opening batsman. When you're not sure where your opening batsman is and what time he'll be coming. And so the decision to field may very well have been influenced by the fact that their opening batsman was late to the proceedings.
Well, you have some disagreement going on there.
Yeah, well.
The scorer says enough openers are in the team.
Openers.
So he was always late.
We are hearing that Lewis is always late. But I did hear that argument, which I'm just reporting it as I got it. I'm not saying that it's gospel. Now we're hearing that they would bowl anyway. Whether all right.
Yeah.
Two 220. What's that? 223 now.
For 4.
For 4 as Riley on 13 will now face as Royal from round the wicket, and he plays out into the offside.
And he's bowling quite straight, Royal. Goes flat. Bowling very flat. No real variation. And you probably want to draw Riley forward. He loves to come forward. As you see the man at mid-off going back and the man at mid-on going back on the boundary. Cover comes closer. Prods along to cover. And it's interesting again, as you mentioned, the toss, because in certain jurisdiction, once you win the toss, in red ball cricket, you're told to bat first.
Again, another rock-solid defensive shot. Somebody had once said at the toss, you think once, you think twice, and then you decide to bat.
And normally in the first hour, when it's a multiple day contest, you're going to have some form of moisture in the wicket and you're going to worry about movement and so on, but that's natural. You're supposed to back your top order to come through about 40-45 minutes of movement and seam and so on, and then you use the back end of the conditions to your bowlers' abilities. I think in this instance, it's more to do with backing the batting ability of their team, that they can get anything that Kingston posts. And probably that is the way that they have gone about it all season, and that is the way they're going to go about it, that they can actually turn this game into a one-innings contest and win it.
Well, as I've already stated, I have no dog in the fight. I want to see a good final. St. Catherine you'd have to say, the much more formidable looking batting lineup. Kingston has a fairly decent bowling lineup, so Kingston putting up a decent total in the board, it should make for an exciting second half, second day. A little delay in proceedings at the moment, as Salmon will continue. So Salmon now from around the wicket to bowl to Morris again. He drives pleasantly but straight to the man at cover. And if you look at the difference between that shot and the one that Riley had played, Riley didn't just play a shot. Riley was
looking to score.
Was hitting to somewhere in particular. George Headley once said he couldn't think, I'll tell you that after this delivery. That's a cut shot, but can't be the man at point. George Headley once said that he couldn't think of playing a stroke without thinking exactly where the ball was going to go. He didn't just drive the ball. He drove with a spot in mind. Well, maybe that's why he averaged 60 in Test cricket.
No wonder. The Atlas, innit?
Mere mortals never get to that stage. Here's a single from Morris. Takes him up now to 119.
And unlike some, he did it everywhere.
There you go.
Scored runs everywhere.
There's some interesting stories about George Headley. You know, George Headley said while he was a youngster playing at Lucas, they used to play a game called, well, I don't know what they called it, but you bat until you're bowled. And he said on a Monday afternoon, 30 little youngsters were there. They couldn't get him out. Tuesday, maybe 25 turned up. Wednesday, 20 or whatever. He said by the Friday when he turned up, it was him alone. The other little youngster decided, we are not going to have any of this. That story is told by C.L.R. James, by the way, that great writer. Yeah. And George Headley then made up his mind, he must have been a youngster at 9, that there's no point doing that. So he used to bat for a while, 2 hours, an hour. And then in order to, and this one is clipped down towards fine leg. That one will go for 4. And let's just watch the umpire's signal. It's 4 runs. So Riley dealing in boundaries. But let me just end that story with George Headley. He made up his mind that there's no point batting the other youngsters into oblivion. And they said he would use, after he felt he had enough, used some of the bowling from these youngsters to practice different shots to the same ball. And then he would get himself out.
Just to keep them coming back.
Just to keep them coming back. Yeah. Played out towards mid wicket. This could be tight. Wisely sent back by Riley.
That was not a run.
Yeah, there was no run in that.
No.
So Riley's on 17. He's hit 4 fours. So it's either he will score 4 or for the most part he's blocking. Here's someone to him now. Well, he's not hitting a 4 there, so he's blocking up towards extra cover. No run.
Getting through the overs quickly though.
What's that? 228? 228 for 4.
They're in a very good position and want to get to that 270 mark before you see any form of expansion or acceleration, I presume. I have not been close to the Kingston team, so I'm just assuming here. And you want to put yourself in a very good position after the first day, because you can't lose a game on the first. What? They say you don't lose a game in the first hour?
But you can lose it.
But you can lose it.
In the last hour.
In the last hour.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think this is where Kingston, they're trying their best to ensure that at the end of play today, they're in a stable position where they can come back tomorrow to be the protagonists.
Yeah. They are telling St. Catherine that this is a contest.
Despite them being the favorites.
Despite St. Catherine being the favorites. And you have to admire the resolute way that they have gone about it. It may not always be the most attractive cricket, except that when they do play shots, it's usually cultured and sophisticated. But they have not gone searching. They have been a very disciplined approach. And we sometimes can be very critical of batsmen when they behave a little bit too impetuous and give their wickets away. For the most part, you couldn't criticize Kingston for their approach.
Not at all. And you have to like the attritional battle as well. Especially from Morris, who has now dug in to shore up one end, ensure that you're not going to be losing wickets in clusters here. I'm going to be a cement on this base. So any other departure has to be from the other end. He has seen, 4 other batsmen depart?
Yep.
But he has stood firm so far. He's on 120. Looking good.
Riley back on strike on 17. It's now 229 for 4. A little adjustment in the field as the mid-wicket comes a lot straighter. Here's Royal. And the batsman is forward.
It's tidy stuff from Royal, but you want to see a little bit more air on the ball. A little slow as well.
That's driven out towards mid-on. And I tell you what, it's almost copybook on drive, but we told you about Riley. He's dealing in boundaries or blocks. So that's another classic on drive. Gets 4, moves to 21 with his 5th 4. And very well played.
And Elvis O'Connor is struggling in the field. He has been targeted all day. And now he's been pushed back to long on. But that was hit quite sweetly from Riley with some power. And O'Connor just couldn't get there. Diving away to his left. Hit too hard. Good shot from the youngster.
Here's Royal again. And this is driven back up the pitch. They can't score. And Riley is on 21. How many balls has Riley faced, Mr. Scorer? 30. 38 balls for 21. Now, if you take away the fact that's now 39 balls, if you take away the 5 fours, he would have hit 1 single from 34 balls.
Yeah.
What do you make of that, Mr. Foster?
Want to have a better conversion. You don't want to have a better conversion. But I think Kingston will be happy with what he's doing. He's ensured that there have been no further losses since the dismissal of Derval Green, who I thought would have been the one to take the innings along. He would be on the front foot and change the tempo of the innings. So now it's almost like a rebuilding exercise to get the team into a more solid position. Now you can't really fault Kingston for that either, because looking down the order, you don't have many more aggressive players to come.
No, not a lot. Is that Morris suffering from a little bit of cramps? He's gone down a little bit, and Riley showing some concern.
Could be. He's been batting for 5 hours now. Well, close to.
Yeah. So they are calling for some assistance to Romain Morris. And we may just have
it's a hot day
a
as
slight
well.
delay. Yeah. It's really. What's the scoring rate at the moment, Mr. Scorer? Come again? 3.15.
So you're looking at 275.
If they bat the 90 overs,
at
you're looking
that
at
rate.
270. Would that be good enough for you, Mr. Foster? 275?
On the opening day?
If they bat all the way through?
You can't complain if you're the batting team, especially after being sent in
I would be
275.
more happy with 300.
It depends on how many wickets you lose.
Depending on how many wickets. Yeah,
if it's 275 for 4,
you'll be disappointed.
You'll be a little bit
If it's 275 for 6 or 7, you'll be good with that.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Can't fault your logic on that. Look, Morris seems to have overcome whatever ailed him a while ago. Scoring rate, as we're told, 3.15. So if they bat the 90 overs, they're looking at 270 odd plus. But if these two remain, or even if one of them remain, what if one of them remains, Jerome?
You look to closer to 300.
Closer to 300. Once one of these are at the crease.
You expect some acceleration at the back end of the day.
At some point. So Orion Williams comes back. He was operating from the far end, but now he's coming back from the George Edley stand-in. Williams' figures, Mr. Scorer. 8 overs for 18. Hasn't taken a wicket.
Yeah, he had the wicket of Morant.
Yeah, he had the wicket of Morant. Pulling. And as they say in local Jamaican parlance, bussing the sky for an easy catch to Kennard Lewis. I get the feeling here, something's got to give, though.
And it seems as if the same tactic is going to be employed, a short ball tactic, seeing that deep backward square, long leg, third man, and deep pointer out.
And that's a slashing, well, short ball, and he slashed. I think he was hitting intending to hit a lot squarer than that. But you get the feeling it's either an acceleration of the scoring now, or Orion Williams may just weasel out a wicket here. Here's he again from over the wicket to bowl to Morris. Wide. In fact, that is signaled wide, rightly so. Yeah. Too wide.
Takes the score to 234 for 4. That was almost a no ball. It was off. It was almost coming off the pitch. Luckily for Orion Williams. And it's almost as if it's a double bluff happening now. The field is spread, obviously. But with so many men back with a square, you expect him to go short at some point in the over. I thought it would have been from the very first delivery. But he has gone the opposite route.
And we're watching Williams. That's punched off the back foot, beats the man at mid-off. That's a lovely shot. I did say something had to give. Either runs or wickets. And Romain Morris with a slashing back foot shot through extra cover and down to the boundary of 4.
And it's obvious that he prefers pace on the ball. And he seems to love when the ball is coming onto the bat. He scores a lot quicker when there's pace in the attack. And he goes through the offside a lot. Opens up his body to free up that offside. Almost as if he stands leg side of the ball to activate the offside, to play through the offside. So that is something, again, St. Catherine can look at and see where they can minimize his scoring opportunities.
So Orion Williams bowling with a third man, a little bit square all the way back, cover all the way back, long off all the way back, long on all the way back, square leg all the way back, and fine leg. I remember once Henry Blofeld was commentating when Viv Richards came to bat, and he said, the field is not set, the field is scattered. And this is what is happening here. It's not so much set as a scattered field. And St. Catherine certainly at this point has gone completely on the defensive. Here is Orion Williams, left alone by Morris. Plays no shot. He's on 124, seeing it as big as the proverbial breadfruit at the moment. Is that 233 for 4?
230. It's like 238.
Is that 238? Yeah, it's 238 for 4. But Morrison is playing a good hand here. And whatever happens, for the rest of the evening. Tomorrow should be interesting.
Should be exciting as well. St. Catherine will have nothing to spare. They have to go hard to overhaul whatever the first inning score is. They have created a couple of opportunities in the field in terms of run-out opportunities. Haven't been decisive, though.
Too wide.
Hasn't bowled one short ball so far, so it's clear.
You wonder what the tactic is.
It's so clear that I don't know what I'm talking about.
If the aim to bring on the part-time bowler is to contain, then why not contain with the bowlers, with your specialist bowlers? You've brought him on to get a wicket, but there's only one man catching. Everybody else is basically dispersed to the boundary. I'm not sure what the plan is. How do you plan to get him out? Is it that they feel that the batsman may just lose concentration and try a shot? But at the moment, I'm not seeing the plan. I'm not seeing the pattern. I'm not seeing what the tactic is. If you come on as the enforcer on a series of short balls, then, well, he's now moved fine leg as if trying to tell the batsman a short one's coming. Is it a bluff? It is. That's wide again outside of stump. Jerome, tell me what the tactic is, sir.
Well, clearly, it was the ball outside the off stump. And maybe it's going to be in the second over when he gets another over, building up the momentum to the shorter deliveries, getting the batsman a little bit more comfortable before unleashing a few short deliveries. But it's a little bit indecisive from St. Catherine as to what they're doing. It's a little bit strange with so many experienced cricketers on the field as well. You find it a little weird that the plans haven't been coherent. They haven't been decisive. You haven't seen consistent amount of bowling to threaten any particular batter. So if Morris is going, you don't say, hey, we're going to bowl here to stop him from scoring. Or when Buchanan was going, they didn't say, this is where we're going to be bowling to him now, seeing that he's scoring there, or we're going to plug that gap and bowl specifically. You didn't see any of that. It was just bowling, and hoping for something to happen, which is a little bit disappointing at this level. Not that you're being overly critical, but you have people out there with first-class experience, and people who have been selected for West Indies youth teams. Some have even gotten close to West Indies senior teams. So it's a little bit surprising based on what you're seeing with the experience that you see on the field.
Yeah, and they're meeting again. So clearly they are concerned. It's not just now one or two people involved. There's almost half a dozen, well, 4 plus the bowler, well, 3 plus the bowler, and that man in Midan seems to be part of the conversation as well. So they are concerned. 238 for 4. And if Kingston can go to stumps without further loss, you're looking at 280, maybe 290.
Looking at 40 runs in the next 12 overs, 13 overs.
Yeah, at the rate that they're scoring, yeah, 3.15, 3.2. And it could very well, if, let's say they get to 260 for 4, and a flagging feeling unit, tired bowlers, you may just see some fireworks in the last 10. But all of that is conjecture and all of that is to come. They're still not bowling here, Jerome. I'm not sure what is causing this delay.
It's strange. The 2 umpires are now in dialogue. It's as if it's a side screen they have a problem with. Yeah, they do.
Oh, it's a side screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We can see in the distance. Was there somebody there, or is it the blowing?
It wasn't steady.
Ah. Well, all of that seems to be the issue now behind us. And Royal will continue. Royal has taken 3 wickets, or 3 of the 4 to fall. And the truth is that outside of him, yeah, there was 1 wicket for Orain as well, but the others really haven't been particularly penetrative. And Riley comes forward again, repeating the narrative of boundary or block And plays up to the offside. He's on 21 with 5 fours. And again, it's blocking it out towards extra cover. Do you like this approach, Jerome? This block or boundary approach from Riley? I'll ask Jerome Foster to just give us an idea what he thinks of this approach. They have now taken out. Oh, what's going to happen here? The man at mid wicket is coming at slip. And the man who was at cover has gone towards a straight mid wicket. Here is Riley. Well, it goes towards slip and thrown to the non-striker's end, but the batsman was always going to be home. And single to Riley. His second single takes him to 22. It's now 2:30, 2:39 now.
I wouldn't say I'm entirely pleased with the approach. It's just that I think he's a little bit limited in terms of his stroke play. And seems to love to be on the front foot once it's pitched up. Otherwise, he has struggled to score. And it's not just him. It's probably all the batters so far. Once the spinners have been straight, it's just being blocked back to the spinner or blocked to the man in the cover region. No real urgency to find another scoring area.
And that's an appeal. The umpire says no. Maybe spinning down leg side. Part of the reason why they're not scoring when they're straight is because nobody's coming down to the spinners. So they are waiting on the ball that's short for it to be cut or the ball that's over pitched for them to drive. That length delivery that's pitched between wicket and wicket is something that they are finding almost impossible to score from.
It's a regional problem that might be odd. So maybe coaching has to come into question there. But it's about taking risk and managing the risks as we wait to see the replay to see if how close that LBW call was.
That's played out. And that's the one that they're waiting for. It's not on stumps and they score, but once it's dead straight, they are reluctant to use their feet to get to the pitch. And you and I know, Jerome, that you don't have to use your feet to every ball. You just want the bowler to know that you might be coming.
But you're good enough to use your feet.
And therefore, he doesn't zoom in on a length almost as a matter of
freedom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, when you are static, he can keep pitching on a length like Royal does there. And again, no run.
And that's what the good players do. They get you off that length. So you start to bowl a lot flatter, and you take away your line from on the stumps to thinking about other modes of dismissal, like caught behind, caught at cover. And now they have the freedom to do whatever they want. They can lap sweep, they can cover, they can do anything they want. So once you can get a bowler from that middle and off on a length, as a batter, that's what you're supposed to strive to do when you go into the nets. Find a way to score. Don't just try to bat and bat and bat. Think about the match situation, how you can find ways to manipulate the bowling and get the bowlers off their lengths and lines. And that's the difference between average players and good players. They find ways to score.
All right, well, it's the first water break in the post-tea session. We'll take a little break, and when we come back, you'll hear the voice of Sean Grant. It's 2:40 for 4 at the moment with Morris continues his long vigil here. He's on 126. He's been there from the start. And Riley, keeping him company, he's on 22.
As Williams continues. Final session on the opening day of the Senior Cup final under the JCA umbrella. Kingston CC versus St. Catherine CC. Kingston CC being put into bat 240 for 4. That is a score. 125 by Morris. Still at the crease, though. He'll be facing the bowling of Williams. Not much change in the field, though, for the entire day. Sometimes we implement a forward short leg. Sometimes a silly mid-off. At one point, though, they had a strong offside field. Did not work out too well for them. Javor Royal has been their trump card. Has taken 3 wickets so far in this fixture. Just second slip. A man at long leg on the square leg boundary, mid-wicket. Cover, there's a sweeper on the boundary. Bowling, cutting outside the off stump. Sweeper just moving to his left. One more run to the total, though. They thought of a second, but that was not on. So 241 on the board, and the score moving to 126 for Morris. He is at the non-striker's end, though. Left and right combination at the crease for Kingston, who were sent into bat. Royal, the most successful bowler for St. Catherine. Tapping away at the crease is Riley with the yellow helmet. First slip for him. Williams outside the off stump. That has been his ploy, though. Has not been successful in terms of wickets, but has troubled the batsmen somewhat. He bowled to Morris. Twice he was beaten outside the off stump. Morris having a word with Riley. And then Williams will go back to his mark. Royal coming between the two. Just being a Royal, you know what? In the meantime, play continues. Williams to Riley, driving through the offside. They go through for 1. He has held the same line, Williams, outside the off stump. Has lost the zest. One more run to the total, 242 on the board. And Riley has gone to 23. Small crowd for the opening day. We hope that the crowd will get bigger tomorrow. Day 2, the final day of this 2-day final. But although being small, they're vociferous. Went around the wicket to the left-hander. Morris. Oh, outside the off stump, cutting. And cutting well. Not getting the ball. Oh, it goes right through the fielder. It goes right through the fielder. He was on the boundary, coming around to his left. The sweeper dived forward, and it went right through his grasp, right through his body, and rolled over the ropes. It's a 4. 4 more runs to the total. 246 on the board for 4. And Morris, who's leading the charge, the opener, has moved on to 130. So just been reminded, though, Salmon getting an opportunity when he was on 28. Bowler caught chance. Went right through his grasp. After getting that chance, he has made the most of it. So second slip. Third man. Williams, full delivery outside the off stump. Wide outside the off stump, slashing at that delivery. Ill-advised by Morris. And if Green was there, I would have gone down to talk to him. Now he's a senior batsman. So I don't think that Riley will say anything. Who is at the non-striker's end? Continuing is Williams, just in front of the George Headley stand, the Michael Holding end. Going by umpire Bygrave. Full delivery. Playing the ball on the offside. They go through for 1. They're coming back for the second. And the throw right beside the stumps. 2 more runs to the total, though. The fielder took his sweet time. Moved from the third man region, went to his left. But when he picked up the ball, though, he never threw it back right away. Gave the batsman enough time to come back for the second. 132 on the board for Morris. 248 for 4. That's a score for Kingston. End of the over, is it? Yes, it is. The 248 for 4. 132 and 23 for Riley. 77 overs have been bowled. As the older overs dwindle down. 13 to complete the day. This 2-day affair. Looks like Javor Royal will be continuing from the coordinate Walsh end. You have a lot of coaches in the stands, though. Maybe not trained, or they're vocal coaches. Maybe never coached a day in their life. Or they know the game inside out and what to do and what not to do. They're the best spectator coaches you can find around the world. Right here at Sabina Park. You can't get better than that. So Royal continuing. Will be handing over his cap or his hat to umpire Wright. No, he does not. I thought he was going to give umpire Wright his hat. No, he does. He's looking on the field, though. His captain, Salmon, having a word with Royal. Adjustments being made. Early in the morning session, they had the forward short leg at silly mid-off. Now that has departed from the field that they have implemented. It's just short third man. Square leg. Deep backward point. Cover. Long off and long on. Quick delivery. Outside the outside. Oh, beautifully done. Opening the face of the bat and guiding between the wicketkeeper and the short third man, bisecting both fielders into the boundary for 4. That was classic. This from Riley. A quick delivery outside the off stump. Straying was Royal, but royally done by Riley. Now the third man is not short anymore. He's gone back to the boundary. Then slip will be put in. Or more so gully. So here once again. The third man was short. And at that time, they put him to the boundary. And they're making some adjustments. They're bringing him up back. So he's going to be still short. And now they've implemented a backward point. So backward point and a short third man. Royal to the right-hander. Riley playing the ball on the offside defensively. There are 2 sweepers on the boundary, though. You don't normally see that. Royal outside the off stump. Playing the ball back down the track is Riley. Score 252. Riley on 27. The non-striker, Morris on 132. Driving. Oh, is he gone? He stumped. Came forward. And for the drive, the bail whisked off. And the 5th wicket to go. Another wicket going the way of Royal, his 4th of the innings, and wobbling just a bit is Kingston on 252 for 5. Stumped, gone back, to the pavilion. Riley is out. Came forward to that delivery from Royal. And wicketkeeper whisked off the bails. And that was it. So the new batsman, Joel Yuan. So 5 wickets to go. If you want to bowl out Kingston this afternoon. 13 more overs to be bowled. Some adjustments were made in the field as Royals will still continuing. So Joel Yuan, the new batsman, replacing Riley. And Riley made 27. So the new batter, Yuan. Non-striker is Morris, who opened the innings this morning. Royal going back and playing the ball on the offside is Yuan, that first delivery. Now forward short leg being implemented. Now been moved, it's a little bit off. There's Royal once again. Been very watchful is Yuan. And that brings a closure to the over. A successful over for Royal as a 5th wicket to go down by Kingston, who were sent into bat. Score stands at 252 for 5. And Morris is on 132, the new batsman who has faced 2 deliveries. Yuan is yet to get off the mark. The last wicket to go down was Riley, who made 27. So will there be a bowling change? Or will Williams continue? Yes, he will. Bowling to Morris. And you know that he'll be bowling outside the off stump. In that last over bowl, they had 2 sweepers on the boundary. So just 1 slip. Deep backward square. A mid-off. And that's a captain. I think he's walking back to the long off position or a deep mid-off position. So Lewis going to the long on position. So long on and long off. Williams, full delivery outside the off stump. Oh, fishing is Morris. Trying to drive, went right through to the wicket keeper. Living dangerously is Morris, who sits on 132. He wants to up the ante in this final session. That's why they've spread the field. They know that's what he wants to do. And they're giving him the deliveries to do that outside the off stump. Williams once again. Wayward moving away from the left-hander. That delivery from Williams, not the greatest at all. Have to bowl though. Pitch just outside the off stump, moving away from the left-hander. let him think that he can play at that delivery or any delivery you're teasing him with. Better delivery. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. And it goes into the stands for 6. He picked it up, swung it down the ground. Beautiful shot from Morris. And what a shot that was. It went in the George Headley stand, bounced back out. I thought the ball wanted a rest, went into the seats to sit, but it came right back out because it knows it's had a game to play. 138, 258. Williams once again, outside the off stump, punching through the offside. They go through for 1. They're coming back for the second. Oh, one person was coming back for the second. That's Yuan. Was off on a canter, but he had to be turned back by Morris. So just one more run to the total, 259. And the man leading the charge in the batting department for Kingston sits on 139. That's Morris. He's at the non-striker end. Change in the field, though, for the new batsman, Ewan. Just one slip. Third man, backward a point. There's a cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. Oh, hits on the pad. The appeal for leg before. The appeal for leg before. And let me say this once again. There's an appeal for leg before, but umpire Brand says no. Kept a bit low. And if anything, that would have been missing just outside the off stump. That's the reason why it was not given. I'd like to see the replay on that, though. That was close. That was close. Williams once again bowling to Yuan, who plays on the offside. He's off the mark. They go through for 1. Oh, that was not Yuan, pardon me. The appeal went up a short while ago. I lost track. That was indeed Morris. And while the appeal was going on, they ran through for a single. So it was Morris who played that last delivery of the over. And he'll face up to Royal. .140. This for Morris. 261 on the board for Kingston. This for 5 wickets. Well, let's see. He was successful in his last over, that's Royal, with a stumping to remove Riley, who went for 27, the last wicket to fall. Royal. Morris punching the offside. They thought of a single. It was not on. Still. Quicker delivery outside the off stump. Still punching in the offside, finding just one man, who is the only person on the offside who is not at the boundary. And he found him twice. This time in the pads, he turns him on the onside. They go through quickly for a single. The throw over the bails. But Yuan was home. .215 or 141, pardon me, on the board. 262. Royal, they'll pressure Yuan, who's not yet off the mark, though. When he ran the single, was a leg by. Siliminov implemented and a slip coming forward defensively. Yuan. And again, you see the steer from Royal. Backward a point. Cover. Extra cover. Mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And in front of square on the boundary. Royal once again. Defensively is Yuan. Playing the ball on the offside. Met with some cheers of the supporters of Kingston inside Sabina Park. Royal, quicker delivery. Trying to tickle him fine though, Riley. Yuan, pardon me. The Singlers end of another over from Royal. Score stands at 262. 4-5, 141. This for Morris. And Yuan not yet off the mark, as we see Williams will be continuing from the Michael Holding end in front of the George Headley stand. He will be bowling to Morris, who has certainly freed up his arm. He played a magnificent 6 a short while ago in the stands. So they have no mid-off and mid-on. What they've done, long on and long off. 2 sweepers. There's a third man. Slip. And backward of square. In front of square. Everyone. At least 5 persons on the boundary. Williams. Bowling to Morris. Full delivery. Punching outside the off stump. They go through for 1. Fielder coming off the boundary. And just 1 they'll get. So you know that the field will change now. For Yuan, who has yet to get off the mark. No one around the bat, though. That's a bit surprising. No Silimidov. No forward short leg. The field has come in. Slip back with a point. Third man. Cover. It on. Full delivery. Driving beautifully through the cover. Cordon into the boundary for 4. Trimming the grass here at Sabina Park. That was an exquisite shot for Yuan. We said he was not off the mark just as yet, but certainly with that shot, he's off the mark and running. 4 runs off the bat of Yuan. 4 more runs to the total. 267. This for 5. Williams bowling to Yuan once again. This time string on the pads, turning the square leg region. They go through for 1. And 1 is all they get. 1 more run to the total. 1 more run off the bat of Yuan. He has moved on to 5. And the score stands at 268 for 5. Facing is Morris, who is on 142. Left and right combination for Kingston at the crease. 10 overs left to be bowled to complete the opening day. After this, it will be 9. Williams. Full delivery, slower delivery into the left-hander. That was a smart delivery from Williams because he knows what mood he is in. And that tucked him up somewhat. Morris is in an aggressive mood as he taps away once again. 1 slip, third man. Full delivery outside the off stump. Peeling off the outer half of the bat. They go through for 1. They'll think of a second. A misfield, so they get the second easily. So 2 more runs off the bat of Morris. He has moved to 144. The score now stands at 270 for 5. Williams looks exhausted. Like majority of the St. Catherine fielders, they have been toiling in the field from 10 o'clock this morning. What? Royal is the only bright spark for St. Catherine. Out of the 5 wickets, he has taken 4. Williams bowling to Morris, full delivery. Turning on the onside. Long on coming forward. That's Kenar Lewis. They go through for a single. 1 more run. Check the tally to 273. And 215, 215, pardon me, 145. 145 to Morris. If he reached 215, that would have been a mammoth total. But 145 this to Morris. And Yuan is on 5. And it seems like Royal will continue from the Courtney Walsh end. 81 overs have been bowled. So 9 overs to go to complete the day's fixture. Or on day 1 fixture, I should say, of the 2-day final at Sabina Park. Royal bowling to Morris. Playing the ball down to the long off fielder. 1 run. Easily taken though by Morris. Now close fielder will be implemented. Will it be at a limit off? Fielders are coming in. Extra cover, back to the point, 1 slip. Royal bowling to Yuan, quicker delivery. It's to Yuan. Seems like he's up for the task, Yuan. Score stands at 274 for 5. He's on 5, Yuan. And Morris at the non-strikers end on 146. Quicker delivery going back and trying to guide it past the man at back with a point. It was not successful. Here once again, Royal outside the off stump, being very watchful is Yuan, allowing the ball to go through to the wicket keeper. Royal again, quicker delivery going back and punching. Can be the cover call, no go through for a single. It was stopped but not picked up. And Morris saw that and made his way down, and Yuan followed suit. They crossed over for a single. Has moved on to 6, Yuan at the non-strikers end, and the score stands at 275 for 5. So that's a correction. The score is 273. To 273. Let me make my markings down as we have our scores here from both clubs. They'll check it over when the game is, or when the end of play. Quicker delivery in the pads of Morris. He turns it off. He goes through for 1. It's a 274. That is the score. End of another over. And the 82nd over was just bowled. So Scores are just checking and making sure that the score is correct. So the scorers have the 274 for 5. However, the scoreboard on the grounds have the 276. So I'm going with the scorers because the other official scorers have to go with them, as the captain Salmon has brought back himself. Back on. The bowling to Morris. Williams was not successful bowling from Michael holding end. Royal has done the job so far for St. Catherine. Just was in the field though. Salmon outside the out stop, cutting. Can't be the man at backward point. There's a saying, when you cut hard. Salmon going by umpire Brian. Outside the off stump. They're tempting him for him to play shots, but that temptation is not a hit single. Oh, that's way outside the off stump. Salmon again flighted, punching, trying to beat the cover cordon, can't. Backward point, there's a sweep on the boundary. Extra cover, that's deep. A wayward outside the off stump from Salmon. Not the greatest delivery at all. You normally say deliverance is near, but not at that point. Salmon again, flighted outside the off stump, cutting, and he goes. The wicket goes, he's caught. And the short third man region, cutting. Finally, the plan has worked. Morris goes for 147. And Kingston losing their 6th wicket. The score is standing on 274. 274 for 6. Kingston after being sent into bat, but a brilliant innings this by Romain Morris, leading the charge with 147. A new batsman coming in. Is Fraser. So Ewan and Fraser at the wicket. The applause go out for the performance of Morris. A brilliant innings from this young man, taking it to the bowlers of St. Catherine. So Salmon getting his first wicket of the innings. Another left-hander, Fraser. So still a right and left combination for Kingston at the crease. So Salmon will be continuing bowling to the new batsman, Fraser. Forward short leg being implemented. Salmon, quick delivery. Defensively playing on the offside. That was the final delivery, though, of that over. The 83rd. Score stands at 274 for 6. Jerome Foster is in the house. We have seen him put on the coat to be a doctor. We've seen him dancing up a storm. No, we haven't seen him, but guess what? He's in the house somewhere. You'll hear his voice very soon.
Good to be back, I guess.
We all guess.
Yeah, a very good innings from Romain Morris coming to an end. You wouldn't say it was a vigil, but it was a brilliant effort. 147 with 17 fours and 2 sixes. Trying to get to that 150 landmark.
As Royal continuing. He's bowled him. Clean bowled him, actually. And I picked it up a bit late, though. So Yuan, he has to go back sweeping, but left the broom. Was bowled, all ends up by Royal, was taking his 5th wicket of the innings. Five so far from Royal, and 7 wickets have gone down for Kingston. Are you the lucky charm?
I wouldn't think so, but Yuan going for the sweep, but did not cover the line of the ball. He didn't cover the line of the ball and was beaten around his legs. That's not the best thing and not the best image you want to see as a batter. Here he goes for the sweep, and it was around his legs. And he's bowled 274 for 7.
Well, your grandmother normally says when you're going to sweep, carry the broom. And he left his broom there because he was nowhere near that delivery.
Yeah, he didn't. That looks like Paul Harrison is the new man. Yeah. So Kingston losing wickets in a cluster at the end of the day, not what you want. They're close to that magical figure that they have talked about all day, which is 300. But they have now lost 3 quick wickets. Royal doing the damage, 5-4. He has been the pick of the bowlers all day and showed his class against a stubborn knock from Romain Morris.
Harrison, the new batsman, playing that delivery, being very watchful with Royal's delivery. But a pick of the bowler is not the term I would use. In 2 minds, though, Harrison wanted to tickle him fine. Came onto the bat a bit slow, so he had to change his mind. He has been the immaculate bowler, Royal. To the left-hander, Harrison. Score stands 276 for 7. That's Kingston after being sent into bat after losing the toss this morning. Royal once again into the left-hander, swinging the ball down the ground to the man at wide of the man at long on, into the boundary for 4, using the aerial route. So he comes not to play around.
And that shouldn't be a bother to St. Catherine. That shows as if Harrison is willing to take on the bowlers, which normally brings some form of fortune, but he got over that one and just chipped it over the head of the man at straightish mid-wicket. No chance for the man at deep mid-on.
Here once again Royal outside the off stump, playing the ball defensively on the offside as Harrison to close off the over, the 84th of the innings. And the score stands at 278, just to make sure, looking on the score, 278 for 7. And Harris is on 4. Fraser yet to get off the mark.
Not bad. And a successful over for St. Catherine there. Back-to-back overs, they're picking up wickets. Pete Salmon got the wicket of Romain Morris. And then the very first ball of the next over from Javor Royal. So they had 2 in 2 as a team. Well, 2 in 3 as a team. And
You're
really giving them some time to come back into this game and thinking about batting tomorrow from an earlier standpoint than what they would have probably looked at a little bit earlier today.
I was about to make the comment, you're great in math. And I picked that up a short while ago. Salmon, pulling to the left-hander, being very watchful, Fraser.
15 minutes to cut off time.
And
I should have mentioned the time
I
again.
know you'd have done that. Someone. Well, tickling it fine, though. Fraser, he's off the mark. And one more run to the tally. 279 on the board.
Interesting to see the approach from Kingston here. Maybe Orville's point about not being aggressive enough in that second session and early in the third session might be coming back to haunt them, saying that they should have been closer to 300 a long time ago. They're in danger of being bowled out for less than 300.
Well, let's go back to the oldest sayings. Runs on the board, runs on the board. So whatever is being put on the board by Kingston, St. Catherine would have to race it if they are to win.
Has to be a lot slower to the tail enders, Pete Salmon. Harrison has already shown that he's willing to go over the top. So give him the opportunity. There's long off, 3/4, and there's a long on the boundary.
Slower delivery. And he's doing some guarding work, Harrison. Goes around. Salmon. Into the left-hander. Trying to go across. Angler bat down to the third man region. They go through for one. And one is all they get. Scoreline now moves to 280 for 7. One more run off the bat of Harrison, who moves to 5. And his partner in crime at the present time, Fraser, he's on 1.
Captain of the team. Good cricket brain as well, Akeem Fraser. Is a West Indies A representative. He's a contracted Jamaica Scorpions player. So he has to know his way around. But he's known for his off-spin bowling, not really his batting. And he played a part with his bat earlier this season for the Scorpions to draw the game against Leeward Islands Hurricanes. A forgettable season, to be quite honest. Harrison goes again.
Harrison goes again for Royal. It bounces twice before bouncing over the rope. Another 4 off the bat of Harrison. He is attacking Royal. So 284. It's Royal once again. Harrison attacking. Oh, I don't think it touched anything. It runs pretty close to the boundary. Into the boundary for 4. I'm looking on the umpire to see what signal will be made. 4 runs. It hit the bat. Went behind the fine leg region into the boundary for 4.
That's a little bit careless, though, from Paul Harrison. He wasn't close to it. He just went for a drive and skewed off the inside edge. Luckily for him, it didn't ricochet onto the stumps. But he gets 4 fortuitous runs and 4 good runs for Kingston. They inch closer to 300. 288 now for 7.
I'm looking on the score to make sure that we're saying the correct score. We get the nod. Royal. Oh, swinging is Harrison. Played over that delivery. It kept a bit low like most of Royal deliveries. But tried to take that delivery from outside the off stump and playing on the onside.
I find this tactic very weird. He hasn't attacked Pete Salmon, but he has been attacking the most economical bowler as well as the most successful bowler on the day so far. Well, Harrison's also a left-arm spinner.
Royal into the pads. Playing the ball down to the long-on fielder. They go through for 1. So 289 on the board. Harrison has moved on to 14. And Fraser, he's on 1. You heard my good friend Mr. Foster stating what a great cricket mind Akeem Fraser has. Not saying that he's a great batsman. Royal, quicker delivery, trying to tickle him fine. Square leg region. No run scored from that delivery. Forward short leg, a slip. Backward point. Again trying the same shot as Fraser. 2 dot deliveries. After Royal was battered by Harrison early on.
Good end to the over from Royal. And went a little bit slow as well, which was surprising to me because he's normally afraid to give the ball air, but he did so. Even though Harrison went after him in the over, he was still tempted to go with a lot more flight. And Kingston, they're 289 for 7. You could still say that they're in a good position. That's 300 runs in first innings is almost formidable. Always formidable, I should say.
289 for 7. Salmon. Been very watchful, Harrison. I'm a bit confused, though. I saw Harrison going after Royal with almost every delivery he bowled, but he's been very watchful with Captain Salmon. Let's see what Salmon does with this delivery. Flighted, coming forward defensively. It seems like they're 2 different players, but they're 2 different bowlers.
Indeed. Lack of respect for one.
Salmon. Defensively. Harrison playing the coy. Salmon outside the off stump. Watchful is Harrison again. This is the 87th over of the innings. After the end of this will be 3 to go. Salmon into the left-hander. Coming forward defensively is Harrison. So Selim it off. First slip. Flighted. Defensively is Harrison once again. That signals the end of the over of maiden bowled by Salmon. No intent of aggression shown by Harrison. But guess what? He gets an opportunity and Royal continues. I think, though, without my crystal ball, I know what will happen.
Indeed. And you're using recent memory as the evidence, which isn't a bad thing. But maybe a little talking to from the captain as well to say that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the day. See if we can come back tomorrow and about another half an hour or so, get them back in the field again, get them in the sun again, get them running around again. That could be a pivotal part of it as well.
Bowling to Fraser, try to tickle him fine, though.
Yeah. And psychologically, that plays a part as well, because as a fielding team, if you're to bowl them out now, which even if you bowl, doubt you can be able to bowl them out now with 6 minutes to go, you'll be able to sleep comfortably knowing that you will just come and bat tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Royal, they're appealing for, like before, while Royal has been a destructive bowler for St. Catherine today, taking 5 wickets so far, and I use the term so far, in the innings.
I think that was more of a catch appeal. It came off his thigh pad, and the umpire signaling that it brushed his thigh rather than his bat or his glove, and you see a leg slip coming in place now.
The thought of a single, though, but Harrison, who would have thought I would have thought, though, that Harrison would have actually attempted the quick single to face Royal. That did not happen.
One was on there.
Fraser just playing the ball. Defensively again, 289 on the board for 7. Royal into the left-hander. Short leg
Getting
there.
quicker and quicker there, Royal.
Yeah.
Arms getting tired. Not being able to keep that right arm up. Coming down quickly.
Into the left-hander, end of another over. End of the 88th over. So 2 overs to go to complete the day's innings. And I know my friend beside me will tell us the time very soon. So if you want to know the time, you don't have to go anywhere. Don't look on the clock. Jerome Foster is the man to tell you the time.
Wait. Checking if it's Big Ben or what, but it's 4:56 Jamaica time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
for that
and 2:89 for 7 for Kingston. I think that is more important than me knowing the time. And either ways, St. Catherine will be bowling again tomorrow.
Salmon into the left-hander, Harrison. Driving this time around. Last 6 deliveries he faced from Salmon. He was very defensive. Covering up this time. Driving. Freeing arm somewhat. Salmon once again going back and cutting. Going right through to the wicket keeper. Cutting and missing. Was Harrison.
2 overs left. 2 overs. Just 2.
Salmon once again from the Michael holding end into the left-hander. Now changing in mindset. Listening to the scorer though. Scorer giving instructions and reminding him there's 2 overs to go.
9 balls now. And since he has heard that shout, he has now gone extremely defensive.
Exactly.
He's been long forward to the consecutive deliveries,
So
taking no risks.
I didn't know the scorer was a part of the coaching team. As he heard his voice, he followed instructions. Outside the off stump, that delivery from Salmon. And watchful was Harrison. So I'm looking at the umpire, Brian. Seems like he has no football prowess at all in his veins. Outside the off stump again from Salmon. Normally, when the ball is rolling to your direction, you use your foot to flick it up. He went down, used his hand. End of the 89th over of the innings. 1 over to go. Score stands at 289 for 7. That's Kingston. After being sent into bat earlier this morning, they lost the toss. And certainly, what an innings from the man called Morris, leading the charge with 147 in this innings.
And it has been a good exhibition of attritional cricket from both teams. I think the second session went off the boil a bit for St. Catherine. They toiled hard in the first hour of this final session and got some rewards at the back end. The first session, they were off it a bit. The first hour, they were off it a bit, and they came back in the second hour with those wickets from Javor Royal. And it's almost as if they're playing in segments and not being consistent, but it has been good cricket. And now we see the final over of the day coming, and you're going to be seeing more men under the bat with Javor Royal, who has so far taken 5 for 88 of 30 overs. He's bowled more than he's going to be bowling more than a third of the overs today. So this is exemplary from the former West Indies youth representative, Scorpions representative.
Well, let's see. Fraser facing up. As it drifted on the leg side. I'm looking to see if it touched anything. I'm looking on the umpire. Umpire right. Yes, it touched something. His bat.
It did. You heard it from here. Well, I heard it from here. And I think the man at leg slip was a little bit too square. It's almost as if he was at leg gully. And it was a fine touch from Akeem Fraser. He's too close, he's Lewis. There's nothing he can do there. He can't react from that position. And it just went down to short, fine leg, and they got a single.
So one more run to the total. 290 on the board. And Harrison will be facing up to Royal. Royal once again to Harrison. Turned him though. That's a chance. That's a difficult opportunity, but you don't think it was a chance?
Yeah, bounced in front of him. Based on what I saw.
He could have actually dived forward.
Look at the replay here. Well in front of him to his left.
To his left though, but he wasn't well in front of him, almost beside him though. But had to go to his left.
You can't be too critical of him.
I'm not being critical.
Like the rest of the people in the crowd.
Oh come on, not like them. They are great. They are great coaches on there. I'm not in their class. So 2 dot deliveries. So Royal continuing. Trying to angle the bat down to the third man region. Thought of a single. It was not on. 290 for 7. That is the score for Kingston. Royal with that delivery string on the leg side. And again he looks to the heavens. That's putting Harrison under some pressure for the final over of the day.
And a very straightish line in operation here with the 2 men on the leg side as catchers, short leg on the leg slip. So Harrison has to be careful here, especially with the ball that is going to be angling towards his pad.
Yeah.
And some amount of turn towards that leg-sided field, a dominant leg-side field. See, the captain is now coming into a straightish. Well, let's see where he goes. He's going to be going behind square. So it's how many men behind square now? That's 2.
Wow.
Yeah, see some changes. Only 2 men on the offside. Well, 3. The slip, silly point, and the man at straightish mid-off. Everybody else is on the onside.
Well, let's see this delivery from Royal. Wow, you don't normally see field like this, but putting Harrison under some pressure. He taps away at the crease. Covering up defensively is Harrison. And that should signal, I'm looking on the umpires, they remove the bail. End of day 1. 290 for 7. That's Kingston after being sent into bat, losing the toss to St. Catherine in this final. Let me hear your final words before we wrap up here this afternoon, my good friend Jerome Foster.
Good day of cricket. I think 290. Kingston would take that every day of the week, that they are 290. They would have probably liked to be 290 for 5, but St. Catherine have fought their way back into the contest with late wickets in this third and final session, which gives them a glimmer of hope, especially with the batting order that they have or possess. They believe that anything below 350 is gettable for them. So they still believe as if they're in a very strong position as well. This is probably Kingston's best effort since the quarterfinal, and you must give credit to Romain Morris, who was fantastic with his 147 from 249 balls. I think you will give the rundown. Well, I will do that. So Javon Buchanan, he made 40 from 61 balls, and he shared in a 73-run opening stand with Morris. Nicholas Nelson went for 2. Lionel Morant, 38. Derval Green, 9. Michael Riley contributed 27. Joel Ewan made 6. Akeem Fraser is 2. And Paul Harrison is on 14. Romain Morris made 147, 249 balls, 334 minutes. 17 fours and 2 sixes at a strike rate of 59.04. The pick of the bowlers, Javor Royal, 5 for 89 from 31 overs. Orion Williams, 1 for 48 from 12. And Pete Salmon, 1 for 44 from 24 overs. Economical, but not as penetrative as Javor Royal, who was the best bowler on the day. So all in all, a great day of cricket. At this point, Kingston in front for me because runs is on the board.
Runs on the board, as you said it before, 290 for 7. Thank you very much, my good friend, Jerome Foster. You heard from Orville Higgins earlier on. On behalf of the entire production team, we'll be back tomorrow at 9:55 on day 2 of the Senior Cup final under the JCA umbrella at Sabina Park. I'm Sean Grant. Till then.